Good morning, everybody. It is Thursday, June 13th, 8:45 a.m., and we are back for another market open. We've got a lot of breaking news that is happening this morning, stuff that broke last night. Oh, wow, Cathie was on CNBC today. Okay, so we're going to talk about Cathie as well. I didn't even know she was there. Two things that are big. Two really big things. Elon's compensation package vote basically has been passed. I mean, it's not literally been passed, but Elon tweeted this chart last night that sent the stock flying in overnight trading on none other than Robinhood. I think it peaked at 193. Right now we're at 190 the pre-markets because the compensation package vote passed and the Texas move for the company also passed. Those two things passed. Really big news. We're going to talk about that, go deeper into it. If you guys were on Twitter last night, I was on a Twitter Spaces with a couple of people discussing this more in depth, but that's very big news. Congrats to Tesla shareholders. Really important that that job got done. And now we can move on from this. Second of all, PPI data came in and it's good. It's pretty damn good. It's pretty damn good. The jobs report, as Mitchell says, the S&P didn't love the jobs report. That is correct. But the S&P did love the PPI data. And the PPI data is starting to suggest that inflation is actually coming down. I mean, we saw CPI yesterday come in lower than expectations, 3.3 versus 3.4. The PPI data today is pretty amazing in terms of how low it came in. And if that continues to come in the month of July and August, then I think the September cut is probably going to be on the table because inflation is coming down. So we've got a lot to talk about. A lot to get into. Thank you, everybody, for being here this morning. Let's get into the market open. Young CEO, different person, Zsana, Brian, Sticky Monkey, what's up, what's up? Memphis, Gerald, Nicola, Dean, Maddie Gersh, Joseph, Danny, happy birthday. You know, actually, guys, it's not my birthday. It's my dad's birthday today. My dad is turning 63, I believe. He was born, 1961? So that's 59 plus 20. No. 1961 means 39 plus 20, 59 plus 4. Yeah, 63 years. So it actually is my dad's birthday, June 13th. It's not my birthday, but thank you for that. Good morning, Adam C., Miguel, Broccoli Bob, Victor, Jittery Hobo, Harvey, Matthew, James, Mitchell, George, Nick Piercy, Max Deuce. What's up? Autumn Soul, thank you all for being here. I'll let him know that you guys all wished happy birthday. I'll let him know. He'll be happy about that. All right, so let's get started, folks. We got a vote that came in pretty hot. This is what Elon Musk tweeted last night. So let me tell you a little quick story about this. Me and my family went to Cheesecake Factory yesterday, not only because it was my dad's birthday today, but my mom can't make it today. But also my uncle bought a house. So we were just celebrating my uncle buying a house and my dad my dad's birthday. And so we went to Cheesecake Factory. We came back. Everyone's tired. Everyone's, ready to go to sleep. And my mom ends up going to sleep. And it's like 10:25. And I realized that the shareholder vote is going to end by 11:59. And my mom only has 60 shares of Tesla. My dad has 33 shares. So it's not like our 93 shares are going to make that much of a difference. However, in that moment last night, I realized, who am I to not go through a little bit of inconvenience and actually go, leave my comfortable bed after I just ate a good food at Cheesecake Factory. I'm tired. I'm ready to go to sleep. Who am I if I don't make myself a little bit inconvenient, go to my mom's phone, my dad's phone, go through their email because they don't know how to do the vote, right? They don't care about this stuff. And then try to find the Tesla email ballot and then end up voting for Elon's compensation package. I was like, if I don't do this, even if my 93 shares are not going to make the biggest difference for the world, I cannot say I'm someone who believes in American capitalism and believes in democracy and believes in meritocracy if I can't go through the small inconvenience of going and voting their shares to maybe make a difference if Elon were to lose this vote. So I do that. And my 93 shares did not make the difference, but I felt personally good. I had zero regrets that I was able to go get that vote to happen for their shares because it's just the right thing to do. And at the end of the day, the right thing to do is the right thing to do. About 30 minutes later, so I told you guys I did that at 10:20. At 10:50, Elon tweets this chart, which is the cumulative Elon compensation proposition votes. As you can see right here, this blue line is the for votes, the gray line is the against votes, and the orange line is how much he needed to get a guaranteed win. So he wins, and then boom, the cumulative Texas for votes that also wins as well. And so boom, there you go. Elon gets the votes I personally felt good last night that I got to vote my mom's and dad's votes. And again, like it really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, but from a pure ethical perspective, I cannot be someone who's a champion of freedom and democracy and American capitalism. And then I say, oh, well, I'm just not going to vote because, I feel a little, tired right now. I'm sure Elon has felt very tired trying to build Tesla into the company that it is over the past 10 years. As a result of that, you've got Tesla stock that immediately went wild. And again, it went wild on Robinhood. That was the only place in town where it could go wild. 189 right now in the pre-market, up 7.1%. It was 193 yesterday pre-markets. It had 1.3 million shares of volume. So it's not like it was just a couple shares trading back and forth. A lot of people decided to buy some Tesla. TSLL, which is a leveraged fund on Tesla, that is up 14% in the pre-markets. That's a 2x leveraged fund. So if you own any of those, and if you've bought any of those in the past couple of days, or even the past couple of weeks, you're doing well on Tesla. Now, I'm going to talk about the implications of this vote and what it means for Tesla shareholders. But before I get into my thoughts, let's hear from Cathie. She was live on CNBC this morning. She put out a pretty large price target for her stock, for Tesla stock. Let's see what she has to say, how she justifies it, and then we will keep going from there. Here's Cathie Wood on CNBC today.
Musk claiming victory on X, saying that shareholders have voted by a wide margin to pass two resolutions. At stake is Elon Musk's pay package and moving Tesla's legal home from Delaware to Texas. Voting is still open, we should mention. Final tally expected later today. Meanwhile, Tesla bull Cathie Wood raising her price target on the company. ARK Invest 2029 projection for the stock is now $2,600 per share. And joining us right now, first on CNBC at the table, is Cathie Wood, CEO and CIO of ARK Invest. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Andrew and Becky.
I very much want to talk about this price target, but I want to talk about this vote for just a moment.
Yes.
I know you supported his compensation
Absolutely.
package. Did you expect, and look, things can still change, but it seems like some of the big institutional shareholders broke for Musk late last night. That seems to be what's happened. Retail seemed to have broke for him earlier than that.
Yes. Yes.
But were you expecting that? And what do you think, if in fact this is the verdict, if you will, or the vote, what do you expect is going to happen next? Because it doesn't seem like the game will be totally over, because this is, of course, probably going to go back to court.
Well, first of all, you broke that news about the institutions, and I was surprised, actually, and pleased. But I do think what has happened here, it really started with ESG and all of the drama around that. And it got these large index players to say, wait a minute, should we be voting all of these shares? We should be taking into account some of our clients' preferences. And so I think it's opened the topic up. It's healthy, I think, very healthy. So, but nonetheless, I was surprised.
Do you anticipate that this becomes another years-long drama, given that this will go to court? Do you imagine the judge is going to look at this vote, say that the process was fair? I mean, part of this whole situation is, she said, the original process was unfair. We've had some lawyers come on our air and say, even if shareholders vote in favor of this, a judge could still strike it down.
You know, I am not a lawyer, but I learned what was at stake, lack of transparency about relationships with the board. Well, all of that has been completely exposed, and here we're having a vote, and I think it's more overwhelming than I would have expected. So
$2,600 a share.
Yes.
Help us do the math. How do you get there? What has to happen for all of that?
Get there?
This is a 5-year price target, as all of ours are. And what has to happen is an autonomous taxi platform, Tesla's autonomous taxi platform. So robotaxis, which is a SaaS-like model. Instead of selling a car and maybe the software package, and that's it, this becomes a recurring revenue model, a slice of every mile driven on that autonomous taxi network. Very high margins. Right now, auto gross margins are around 16%. Gross margins in the SaaS world are more like 80%.
How big a market does that have to become for Tesla to get to the $2,600 price? The reason I ask is there are some cities that may allow this to take place. There may be geofenced areas where people are going to do this. And there's also obviously a larger view that one day these cars will be able to do everything by themselves everywhere in the country.
Yes. Well, this is the largest AI project on Earth, autonomous mobility broadly. And I think it's going to catch on as quickly as that. Now, of course, what we've had during the last 10 years is a movement toward FSD. And now we're seeing safety statistics. And I remember
full self-driving for those uninitiated.
Full self-driving. You look at the number of miles between accidents for the average car in the United States, it's about 200,000 miles. Right. You look at a Tesla without FSD, full self-driving, just autopilot, right. It's more like 600,000 miles. With full self-driving and an older version, not even the latest, 6-9 months ago, 3.2 million miles. Tasha Keeney has done this work. You know, Volvo built a brand on safety, and I think Tesla's going to usurp.
But we're in the middle of 2024. Yeah. You're saying we get to 2029.
Yes.
And that's where that price is. I think what I'm asking is, for your base case, for this to work, and by the way, we should say that Elon Musk tweeted out, extremely challenging, yes, but achievable on top of your tweet.
Yes.
When does this all have to really go into effect?
Yes, we believe that they're setting up for robo-taxis, the network, within, I would say, 1.5 to 2 years. Elon would say, maybe we'll start.
But that also requires regulators to sign off on all this.
Now, regulators have an issue, and that is the auto accident rate has gone, after decades of going down with auto safety measures.
Right. Sharply. We talked
sharp
to Pete
increase,
about this yesterday.
40 to 50%. Texting is a big part of it. You know, disproportionately young people. Right. So deaths in the U.S. have gone from the low 30s. I think they got into above 40,000. So I think if regulators understand, and they do, that 85% of all traffic accidents are caused by human error. If you take the human out, you're going to make the roads
Cathie,
safer.
We literally asked Pete Buttigieg, the Secretary, the Treasury of Transportation,
yes,
the Secretary of Transportation yesterday, Pete Buttigieg, about this, and he did sound like he was open to the idea as a result.
Yes.
And that's the first time I've really heard a public official who's kind of embraced it instead of saying, wait, we don't like the rise of the machine.
Absolutely. He is telegraphing that the roads ultimately are going to be much safer if you take the human being out of the equation. Much safer.
Okay, so that's Cathie. She gives her argument live on CNBC. It's not as convincing of an argument, I think, like it was yesterday on paper versus her talking about it. At the end of the day, it's just a really big valuation. If she had said like, what, 2029, like $1,000 or maybe like 750, people could probably see it happening. But saying it's going to be 2,600 base case, it's just a little hard to get that optimistic. And even for the biggest of bulls, they know. Like I was on a space yesterday with a lot of Tesla bulls, Sawyer Merritt, whole Mars catalog, just a bunch of those Tesla people. And I asked them about the Cathie thing, and they are just like, look, she's been right forever, but her numbers are kind of up there. They're kind of crazy. And so I think even the biggest Tesla bulls acknowledge that it's wild. Now, here's a chart that's on the market close. If you were there yesterday, Steve sent me this chart, and I thought it was pretty incredible. So doing a little bit of a comparison, in the bull case for Tesla, the free cash flow that the market is expecting, or at least that's what Cathie is. So as you can see right here, the bull case market cap is 10 trillion. The free cash flow would have to be 55 billion in 2029 for that to happen. That is 50% less than the current free cash flow of Apple, which is at 100 billion, and Apple's market cap is 3 times lower than the bull case on Tesla at 3.2 trillion versus the bull case at 10 trillion. So Cathie is saying that with 50% less free cash flow from instead of 100 billion for Apple, 55 billion, Tesla will be worth 3x more at 10 trillion versus 3 trillion. And it's the same numbers are for Google, for Amazon. Like, it just doesn't make a lot of sense, and it's hard to wrap your head around it. And so, I mean, you're looking at a price to free cash flow of 181 for Tesla. Every price of free, I mean, the largest price of free cash flow right now is Tesla at 400 currently. And Nvidia, which is growing like crazy, only has a price of free cash flow of 74. So it's just really hard to imagine these arguments coming true given the raw numbers. It's not that Tesla stock won't do well over the next 5 years. I think it will, but it's just hard to imagine those crazy numbers. Now, in terms of what this means for Tesla shareholders, I think there's two things that can happen today. I think number one, the news can be interpreted in a really nice way, and investors, institutionals, retail, they're like, all right, I missed the Tesla boat at 140, 150, 160, 170. I'm not going to miss it at 190. I'm getting in. The sucker's going to 300. It's time to go to the moon. Interest rates are coming down. We're going to talk about PPI data in a second. PPI data came in lower than expected. That PPI data means that inflation is slowing down. Inflation is slowing down means interest rates are probably going to come down. That's going to help Tesla, Enphase, et cetera. So we have to get into the stock, and there's more buying pressure on the stock. People start buying the stock. The second argument, which causes the stock to go up, right? And I think it's a run to 200 and, things get fun. The other news is that, okay, Elon gets his votes, Elon gets his money, but like, has anything fundamentally changed about Tesla? Has the story changed, the narrative changed? Is FSD happening any quicker? Not really. Right? If the robotaxi event is just like a, hey, here's the robotaxi and it'll come out in 2 years, then it's nothing like more like the Cybertruck, right? That was announced, and then 4 years later it finally gets into production. I think it'll actually start in 2025. But if the market assumes that nothing really changes because of Elon doing this vote, Elon getting this vote, then maybe the stock kind of doesn't get the type of premium that people are expecting from it. Elon did respond to someone last night to Holmar saying, okay, Elon Musk, we got you the options. Now you have to make Tesla the most valued company on earth. Deal? Elon says yes. So Elon seems very happy, right? He seems very happy that now he gets to stay at Tesla. Also, let's not forget, Tesla shareholders are going to get diluted to an extent because to get Elon all these shares, they're going to have to print some more shares so that he has the 25% voting share that he wants to have. So there is going to be a bit of dilution here, which could negatively affect the share price. But nonetheless, I think it's going to be a battle over the next few weeks of, are people excited that Elon is fully focused and ready to be at the helm of Tesla and not going anywhere for the foreseeable future? Or are people saying, all right, we gave him his money, but until the numbers change and FSD becomes real, there's nothing fundamental to the story that's different. So we're going to have to see what happens. I think people have to remember the stock was at 138 at one point. And so it has rallied from 138 to 190. There was plenty of time to buy that dip if you were super bullish on Tesla. Obviously, most people buy the dip when it's not the dip anymore, when it becomes obvious, which is the tough part about investing. But I'm curious to see how many people really jump into this thinking that this Elon vote means that there will be a trajectory going forward. Personally, if you were to ask me, I do think there's a rally baked into this. I think 220 is not crazy for Tesla because now everyone's excited about the robotaxi. The 8/8 event is only a couple of months away. It's in August. Elon, we know he's going to stay. We know he's focused. We know he has the compensation he needs. XAI is not a threat anymore of him leaving. If anything, XAI might become an asset. The narrative starts to change a bit. And look, Apple is finally up year to date about 16%. I think maybe the market's like, all right, Apple's up, Nvidia's up, Amazon's up, Google's up. All these companies are up. I'll show you guys a chart of all the companies that are up year to date, actually. Tesla's the one that's not up. Maybe it's time to rotate some damn money into Tesla. Is it a bit overvalued? You could argue. Sure. Are the numbers going to suck in terms of delivery? They're not even going to 10% CAGR on deliveries because they would have to sell 531,000 vehicles a quarter, which they're probably not going to do. Sure. But the stock's been beat up for the better part of 3 years now, definitely in this year. Maybe it's time to give it some momentum, and maybe the money actually, I mean, look, if I had to rotate my money outside of the large caps and I needed a place to grow, it's either small caps or Tesla. I might pick Tesla, even though small caps probably will do better because interest rates, all that stuff. I kind of would be more comfortable sleeping at night, definitely, instead of the Russell, put it in Tesla. And maybe other people feel that way as well, which would happen for Tesla. Okay, so these are the top 10 holdings of the S&P 500 and their year-to-date return. So these are what makes up the S&P. And I wanted to show this because Apple just went up yesterday, right? Or over the past 2 days, past 48 hours. And now Apple is positive year to date versus negative. So you got Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, Meta, Google, Berkshire, Eli Lilly, and Broadcom. We have to talk about Broadcom earnings as well. Broadcom earnings basically proves, if Oracle didn't prove it and if Nvidia didn't prove it, that AI is really, really real. And so we'll talk about Broadcom earnings as well. Okay, so Apple's up 14% year to date. Microsoft 18%, Google 28%, Nvidia 157%. Nvidia's up another 2%. in the pre-markets. Berkshire, 14%. It's so funny. Berkshire Hathaway's up 14% and Apple's up 14%. Like Berkshire Hathaway is literally up because of Apple. I mean, it's just like everything else is kind of, it's doing okay, but Apple is the main thing that's leading the boat. Eli Lilly up 50%, Amazon up 23%, Broadcom up 56%, and this was because it went up 14% yesterday. And then Meta up 45%. The entire S&P 500 is up 15%. Total AUM in the S&P, 540 billion. 6 trillion still waiting on the sidelines, collecting 5%. So I think at some level, the 6 trillion sitting on the sidelines collecting 5%, they have to ask themselves, hey, maybe we need to look more seriously at the 540 billion that's sitting in the S&P 500 and the year-to-date returns that the S&P 500 is getting. Now, I actually did a little bit of research last night on when S&P 500 returns correlated with money market funds, and I want to show you guys something from 2009. I actually used ChatGPT for this. By the way, I haven't used ChatGPT in like a month, quite frankly, because I've just been busy. I haven't been using ChatGPT. I used it yesterday, and my goodness, it was good. It was really, really good. I mean, it was quick. It was fast. It was like, I understand why Apple's using them now, because it's like, dude, it's one of the best models. I mean, it was so good, so quick, so specific, so contextual. So that was really good. So here's one of the things that happened in 2009. In 2009, at the height of the financial crisis, money market funds assets peaked, which is, I don't know if it's peaking right now, but 6 trillion is definitely a lot in 2024. However, as the stock market began its recovery, these funds experienced outflows. In 2009 alone, money market funds saw an outflow of approximately 500 billion, which coincided with a significant rally in the stock market, with the S&P 500 increasing by nearly 27% for the year. Now, the S&P 500 is up 14% this year. The money market funds are up at 6 trillion. They keep adding more every single week, which begs the question, if the S&P ends up going up another 13, 14%, do you see an outflow of $500 to $1 trillion, just like we saw in 2009, as the market continues to go higher? I mean, look, the market's up a lot this year, but in terms of rallies, 14% is good, but it's not the 27. I mean, even in 2020, we saw 25% growth in the S&P, or that was 2021. It was one of those 2 years that we recently had, but like we've had 20% plus years for the S&P, and that means that money market funds that are on the sidelines still might have a way to get into the market, which would obviously help the broader market as well. And so we will see how that plays out. Okay, so that's what we had for the S&P 500. That's what we had for Tesla. Now let's talk about PPI data, because this also was incredibly important. This is what we got. PPI, producer price index data, came out. Again, for those that don't know what PPI is, it's how much producers are paying for the goods and services that we consumers end up paying for. So if CPI comes down, it's kind of a signal that PPI is going to come down, because if we're paying less for products and services, then the producers are probably charging less for products and services. Now, that imbalance actually was not the case for the far majority of last year, because people just kept gouging the prices and producers were willing to pay it, but now it's starting to become a bit more normal. Yearly, plus 2.2% year over year, below expectations of 2.5%. Not bad. The market thought it would be 2.5. We come in at 2.2. Monthly, it goes negative 0.2%, below expectations of positive 0.1% month over month. Not bad. CPI came in lower yesterday. PPI comes in lower. It seems like inflation is coming down. As soon as this data came out, the S&P rallied on this news, which was very important. Now, one piece of jobs data as well. Initial jobless claims today came in at 242,000. The expectation, or the previous number, was 229,000, and I believe the consensus was 225,000. So the market wanted 225,000 people to be unemployed. It came in at 242,000, which is technically good, because that means more people are unemployed, which is good for inflation. But it's also kind of like, well, that means the economy is slowing down a little bit, which is also kind of good, because that means JPOW is going to have to cut rates soon. But that's also not good for earnings. That's definitely not good for the consumer, et cetera. So it's kind of, the market's kind of reconciling, is that good news actually good news, or is that bad news, which is bad news? S&P 500 right now, 542 in the pre-market. So it's not red, it's not super green, but the PPI data was definitely bullish, and it showed us that it seems like we are going to get that elusive rate cut eventually. And so that's what we got in the context of PPI, and also in the context of the Tesla vote that we saw last night. Bitcoin has not been, as someone says in the chat, it seems like the Bitcoin rally is on pause. Yeah. This Bitcoin thing, dude, it's just incredible. I mean, I don't know if it's being manipulated. I don't know what's happening with Bitcoin, but Bitcoin right here, if we look at the inflows yesterday, the inflows were good. The inflows weren't bad. So the inflows were 100 million. So BlackRock brought in 15 million, Fidelity 50 million, ARK 14 million, 8 million for Bitwise. Like we got $100 million worth of inflows. It's just not that exciting for Bitcoin, and it's definitely not making a dent in Bitcoin right now. So Bitcoin 67,000. The PPI data you thought would be a little bit more bullish for Bitcoin. It's up a little bit, but not up a ton based on that PPI data. And so that's what we're seeing right now in the context of Bitcoin. Now, another piece of news on Bitcoin that was also really interesting this morning, which I didn't expect to wake up to, but it is indeed true. Michael Saylor is trying to get people more excited. He ends up offering another 500 million in convertible notes via MicroStrategy to raise funds to buy more Bitcoin. There you go. The company has over 200,000 Bitcoin, and with this raise, they can purchase an additional 7,500. So they did this, I think, to the tune of a couple $2 billion over the past 5 months. And today they come out saying, hey, we're going to buy another 7,500 in Bitcoin. It's a good thing for Bitcoin. It's just like 500 million seems to be swallowed up pretty quickly by the sellers at the $70,000 range. So even if it pumps, I mean, he's doing it because he thinks 67, 66 is a dip, which you could argue is a dip going into July, August. Hopefully that is the real dip. But we're going to see how that ends up playing out. MicroStrategy deciding to buy $500 million worth of some Bitcoin. There you go. So we'll see how that happens as well. Now, one of the things about the ARK thing, the ARK valuation model yesterday is that she didn't include Optimus in her model, which I thought was really interesting. She only included robotaxis. So if you are bullish about Optimus, then maybe Optimus is the thing that ends up going well, even if the robotaxi doesn't lead to the level that she is, or that she wanted to, get to at the end of the day. We've got Janet Yellen right here on CNBC. Let's hear what she's saying. She probably some thoughts about what's going on with interest rates. She's the Treasury Secretary. So let's get in her thoughts real quick on the macro, and then we'll keep going from there.
Arriving in Italy for the G7, where world leaders are going to be discussing.
It's the G7. I did not know that was happening this week. All right.
Yeah, the Russia-Ukraine war, including a proposal by the United States to use earnings from frozen Russian assets to help Ukraine. Joining me right now in an exclusive interview this morning is Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen, who has a big op-ed in the New York Times about this very issue. So we'll go there first, and then there's about 100 other questions I want to talk about the economy and where we really are.
Me too.
It's great to see you.
Thank you.
Explain your plan and in terms of what it means economically to try to support Ukraine.
Well, I think Ukraine needs to know that the allies are committed and able to support Ukraine for the long term. Russia looks like they're trying to wait us out, hope that we'll lose our resolve. And we want to take a step that will provide significant funding for Ukraine and show that we have the capacity over the long run.
But the big idea is to take the frozen assets and the earnings that come effectively off of those frozen assets and effectively create a loan against the earnings that come off the frozen assets without providing the frozen assets themselves to Ukraine.
That's right. Almost $200 billion is impounded, frozen in Belgium at Euroclear. All in all, we think there are about 280 billion, but the biggest chunk is at Euroclear. And those assets are generating a return that does not belong to Russia. The assets are just in cash, but Euroclear is able to itself earn interest on these funds. And already the European Union has taken this step of agreeing to take that flow of, they call it windfall profits, and turn it over to Ukraine. And that could be somewhere in the $3 to $5 billion a year range. But Ukraine's needs are bigger than that. And given that the leaders have committed, these assets will remain frozen until Russia has ceased their aggression and paid for the damage they've caused to Ukraine.
So, of course, the bigger question
that we're going to make a loan.
Right. But why not just take the frozen assets themselves? You think that legally you can't?
Well, our view is that it is legal, moral, and economically reasonable to seize the assets. But what we're looking for is to keep the allies together, to find a way to do something jointly in a way that is agreeable to all of the partners who've been supporting Ukraine, the G7, to Europe, to other countries that are part of our coalition. And this takes the economic value in those assets and gives it to Ukraine in meaningful amount. The numbers being discussed are something like 50 billion, and this could be repeated.
Let's move the conversation back to the U.S. for a moment.
Okay.
I'm curious about what you think is happening on the ground in terms of our economy, in particular inflation. I'm not going to ask you to comment on Jay Powell because I know you don't like to do that.
I won't do
but
that.
we heard his perspective yesterday and his idea that there might be one interest rate cut on the table, maybe. But there's a larger question about where we really are in the journey on taking inflation down. There were some good signs, but there's still parts of the economy that still are hot.
Well, we're creating jobs at a very rapid pace, but at the same time, the unemployment rate has drifted up a little bit. It's still extremely low in historic terms, more or less the lowest in 50 years. But the labor market has become a little less hot, a little bit more normal. The number of job openings has declined some. We've had a burst in labor force participation. And so the labor market now is resembling what it looked like pre-pandemic.
Right.
Wages are increasing, but at a slower rate. And so that doesn't really look like it's a threat to inflation. A substantial part of the inflation we still have, inflation has come down dramatically, but a substantial part has to do with the housing market and really reflects the fact that it takes time when market rents go up for people who have rental contracts to, over time, their rents go up too, but that takes a while. And so a significant share of the remaining inflation represents the slow return of housing costs.
On the housing front, though.
I'm going to let them finish, but the housing front is the big deal. Jay Powell yesterday, for those that missed it, said that he does not think that he should lower interest rates to help inflation with housing, which is what Elizabeth Warren and a lot of the politicians are saying, obviously, because that'll be good for people buying houses. He thinks we just have to get inflation to come down. And so he's actually opposed to how the politicians are thinking about it, but them, Janet Yellen, are thinking that housing is the biggest issue.
How concerned are you that it's harder for young people, obviously, to get into a home? That's a real issue.
Yes.
But there's another issue that may be here for a long time, which is the idea that people who own a home are trapped in the home because they can't sell the home because of mortgage rates. And as a result, what that does both to physical mobility, but also to economic mobility in the country.
Well, I agree with that. And because interest rates were so low, many people don't want to sell their homes or move because they're faced with taking out a mortgage. The problem is that, as somebody who's thinking about running our economy, which is your role. President Biden made a proposal in his most recent budget that he would give $10,000 both to first-time home buyers looking for moderate price homes, but also to people who, as you described, are locked in their homes and need an incentive to sell them. There is a substantial lock-in effect there.
Okay, so that Biden $10,000 home incentive that he came out with a couple of days ago, is it just me, or is $10,000 not a lot of money when it comes to buying a home? I mean, homes on average are $400,000. Like, the idea that the government's like, hey, here, like for an EV, I get it. Like if they give you $7,500 for a Tesla and a Tesla's $50,000, like, yeah, that's a reasonable like incentive, right? I save $7,500, it's $50,000, like, but to give me $10,000 to buy a house or to sell a house, that's just not a lot of money. And it's kind of weird because Biden also promised the $10,000 in student loans that didn't end up happening, right? In the forgiveness, which also is relatively not a lot of money if you've got hundreds of thousands of dollars in student loans. So I don't know if that's the best way to position himself as like the way to save this situation. If it was 50 or 100,000, that's a really substantial discount. And I think that would actually move the needle. The problem is though, if you give people $100,000, which would be 25% of the average home value in America, you would have to print a lot of money, and you can't print a lot of money because inflation is still bad. So it's a very tricky economic situation. It's a conundrum. And again, I'm very sympathetic to Jay Powell dealing with this because I get why he doesn't want to raise or lower rates because prematurely it could have the risk of inflation coming faster, even though it probably would stimulate the housing market, which would create more supply, and that would off balance the excessive demand that's going on. So I mean, like, we're going to have to see how that plays out. But the good thing is, if you're just joining, PPI came in lower, which is a good sign, as CPI came in lower yesterday. Both of those coming in lower means that inflation naturally might be coming down, which is what Jay Powell needs to eventually cut rates. And that's going to be very good for the broader market. S&P 500 right here, 542.95 on the day. Multa Boy says it's a pernicious problem that can only be addressed by a considerable lowering of the federal funds rate. Would also rescue a lot of banks who are also barely hanging on with their rancid bond portfolios. That's the other thing. We haven't talked about the banks in a while, but the banks, and I think that's why JP Morgan's been struggling a little bit, even though it did hit all-time highs this year at 192 right now in the pre-markets. The banks have essentially said, it was at 207, now it's 191. The banks have said, hey, we know we're underwater by the tunes of hundreds of billions of dollars of loans on their balance sheets. Remember, they loaned out money back when the federal funds rate was like 2%. Now the federal funds rate is 5%. The delta between 5 and 2 is 3%. They're underwater by on average 3 to 4% on their loans, which results in hundreds of billions of dollars in paper losses. Now, as the rates come down, those losses start to get smaller, which is really good for banks, which means the tangible book value of JP Morgan, TFC, Bank of America, et cetera, it all tends to go higher. But we haven't lowered rates yet. We just haven't lowered rates. And so that is something we have to think about. The longer rates are higher or are high, the longer these banks have to deal with these losses. Now, Bank of America, JP Morgan can get away with it. They have trillions of dollars in assets. A lot of the regional banks can't really get away with it. And that's why we saw the report that there might be some bank failures coming on the way, which Jay Powell has commented on in the past, saying that it's okay if banks fail because he thinks we need more consolidation versus having the thousands of banks that we do have in the United States. So banking and shelter. I mean, we're going to see how this plays out, but inflation is going to have to come down to help both of those. Let's talk about Broadcom. Congrats to those that own Broadcom. This thing is up 14% right now in the pre-market, up $1,700. Their earnings were just exceptional. So a couple stats on their earnings. They beat EPS. They beat revenue. I think EPS came in at like 1095. Revenue was about 12.5 billion. So they beat on both of those headlines. Incredible stuff. Then they did a 10-for-1 stock split. That's always going to get people excited. That's NVIDIA is up even more now after that stock split. It's split at 120. Now it's at 128. They raised their guidance and they said, hey, instead of doing 50 billion a year, we're going to do 51 billion. So they said, hey, we're actually going to do $1 billion more than the market expects. They are now growing at 43% year over year. And last quarter, in the last 90 days, from AI-related services, they've made $3.1 billion, which is similar to Oracle that did $12.5 billion just off AI contracts in the last 90 days. It's starting to feel like this AI train. I mean, it's already felt like it's real, but now it's becoming almost undeniable. I mean, with Broadcom putting up numbers like this is only on the backs of AI being a tailwind for their business. And again, maybe AI is not that like applicable right now in the consumer sense outside of like large language models and ChatGPT, and we'll see what Apple does when they integrate it into their devices. But at least in the enterprise, people are using AI, and companies like Broadcom, Marvell, etc. They are part of the supply chain that gets it to become real, which is what we're seeing right now. So Broadcom doing incredibly well on these earnings, and it's just another win in the broader AI space. Tesla right here up 7% in the pre-markets, 190. If you're just joining, Elon's compensation vote has passed, not literally passed, but basically passed, given a chart that he showed last night. And that has people very excited for Tesla. Apple right here, 214. It seems like Apple is going to start to develop support at that 200 level, maybe 205 level. Apple, 6.2% of the S&P 500, 3.27 trillion. They are now the most valuable company in the world. For a second, they were more valuable than Microsoft by a decent margin. Now it's just a very small margin, but Apple is up there at $214.28 on the day in the pre-market. Celsius can't catch a break. Celsius cannot catch a break. And one of the reasons I never liked investing in Celsius is because I really do believe in American democracy. And in America, we use Fahrenheit. We don't use this Celsius nonsense. I know around the world, everyone likes kilometers or kilograms. First of all, what is a kilometer, dude? It's called a mile. Like, I never understand. I go to India. Last time I was in India in 2019, everyone was like, oh, it's like 40 kilometers per hour. I was like, what is this? What is this kilometer nonsense? I'm going back in October, and I'm going to have to do the whole translations. But it's Fahrenheit, it's miles, it's feet, it's inches. That's what I believe in, okay? I believe in my guns, I believe in my freedom of speech, and I believe in my miles, not my kilometers. Nonsense. So Celsius to me always felt anti-American and anti-democratic. $61, down 6%. It's really not catching a break, down 1%. Now, if you guys follow this guy on Twitter, which you might not, Jonah Lupton, he's catching a lot of flack, which he shouldn't be catching a lot of flack, but he is. But he sold out of his entire Celsius. And this is a guy who, from my understanding, is the earliest public bull on Celsius. He got into Celsius at $3 in May of 2020. And he's been documenting the entire journey on his Twitter for the past 4 years. So he writes this long post. I'll put it in the chat. if you guys want to read it. But the whole point of the post is like, look, the sales are coming down. Right here, he says, it took one more bad Nielsen report and then a couple of analysts suggesting Q2 earnings would include another $20 to $30 million inventory reduction from Pepsi, and I was out. Earlier last week, I started selling off my puts while unloading the rest of my Celsius position. And he basically thinks he would need to see Celsius in the low 50s to high 40s to even think of getting excited, given the premium multiple for the past few years was warranted because of the growth. But if the growth's coming down, then you can't justify paying the premium that you're paying for Celsius. He got a lot of flack for that. A lot of people basically said he convinced people to buy Celsius for the past amount of years, and now he's out of it. But again, I mean, you can't blame the guy. Like he got into it at $3. He's been telling people whenever he buys, whenever he sells. He's been updating people in his portfolio. So I mean, like at the end of the day, I take it as the reason he got out of it is because he thinks this premium is getting ridiculous, and if the growth is not there to justify the premium, then you gotta save your money, right? And so the reason I'm bringing him up is because he's like the face of Celsius, in my opinion. I know some of you guys might not know him because he's not on YouTube, but he's like the guy when people think of Celsius. And if he says I'm done, particularly because of growth concerns, maybe that's something to take a little bit more seriously when it comes to Celsius' overall growth. So Celsius right now down 1.36% and down 6% yesterday. We'll see how this plays out over the coming months. SoFi is actually up 0.57%, 7.11. So we went above 7. Update on the short float for those that didn't know. SoFi short float is up 3%. So now it's 18.64% of the float. And Palantir is down 4%. So Palantir is now 3.96% of the float. So Palantir is down to 4% of the float, or less than 4% of the float. SoFi is up at about 18%. SoFi above $7. Again, CFO on the call yesterday, he said some decent stuff that people were excited about, which is leading me to believe I think the next earnings at least gets us to $8 if they just execute on the basic stuff they talked about yesterday with CPI. So he said a couple things. He said 90% of member deposits are direct deposit. Banking license allows SoFi to save $500 million of interest expenses. The flywheel allows them to have 30% of new members take out a second product within 30 days. He said financial services are CAGRing at 50% for SoFi. He said lendings is a mid-teens CAGR. Lending as a service is up to 50 million annual run rate. They're declining 80% of applicants, so they're being very conservative because they don't want to get into crappy loans with more defaults. Their student loan refinancing business is a 12 billion origination opportunity, which is less crowded right now. Confident in 7 to 8% life of loan loss reveals. The recent cohorts look good. And then on the tech platform, he said they're in RFPs with discussion with many of the top US banks. It's a mid-20s CAGR right now. And then one quote, we're seeing very robust demand and are in great conversations with a number of top banks in the United States and top banks in Latin America. And then he says on the pipeline, it can take longer, or it can take 1 to 2 to 3 quarters to sign a client. The integration takes longer than that. And then you start generating revenue. So pretty much what you wanted to hear, just not stuff that's super, super exciting for SoFi. But it's stuff that you need to hear. I think, with a good earnings, given the stocks have been stuck in a range for a while, the market starts to get more excited. And hopefully that short float goes down on a good earnings. The problem is, I've been saying this for a while, Noto really has to sound like a real CEO and just convince people they're stupid for not having SoFi on the next earnings call, which I don't think is that hard to do. I think you just gotta use some metaphors, some analogies. You got to get excited. You got to get people interested. And that's why Karp is a really important leader, because he's able to get people interested. Also, speaking of Karp, there's a video coming out of him in the coming weeks. He did a Black Tux event. I'll show you guys the picture in a little bit. And he gave a speech last night. And so that video is going to be coming out pretty soon. And people said that speech who were at the event was just one of the most incredible speeches ever. So I'll show you guys the picture in a second. We will get that video a little bit later. In the next coming weeks. All right, we got the market open in 20 seconds. I think let's have all eyes on Tesla. That's what I want to see what happens. Tesla right now, 188.4. Let's see how this ends up going as we get into the market open, and we will see how the market reacts to this Tesla vote and what else happens in the broader market. All right. Thursday, June 13th, 9:30 a.m. Thank you all for being here. The stock market is now open. Wake your ass up. Here we go. Tesla up 5.6% on the day. We do have a red candle. As soon as we get into the bell, makes sense that people are going to sell. People are going to take some of the profits. That's fair. Let's just see how It continues to go 186.9 right now. Tesla is down just a little bit. I mean, it's up for the day, but it's down just a little bit from that 190, the pre-market. So we'll get back to Tesla. S&P 542.91. PPI data was really good, so the S&P seems to be liking that a little bit more. Broadcom up 13.4%, 1697 on the day. JP Morgan is down. JP Morgan's up. Bank of America is down a little bit. Bitcoin 68,000 up from 67,000. Robinhood 2362. That's down 0.34%. Apple 215 up another percent on the day for Apple. Nvidia, wow, 129. Oh my goodness, dude. Oh my goodness, dude. Holy crap. Nvidia's about to touch 130. Nvidia's about to touch 130. Money cannot stop finding Nvidia shares. My goodness. GameStop, we'll talk more about them. Some updates on GameStop and Roaring Kitty's potential sale of options. That's up 5%. Marvell's up 2%. SMH, the semiconductor ETF, that's up 1.67%. That's led by Broadcom today. PayPal down, of course. Microsoft is down. Celsius, wow, down another 2.34%. Celsius down another 2.64%. Where's Palantir? Palantir opens up 2386. Palantir 0.36% on the day. Russell, not liking the PPI data. It looks like Russell needs a rate cut because the inflation data coming out is not enough to get Russell to be excited. 203 right now on the Russell, down 0.27%. HIMS 2374, that's up. DJT, that's up a little bit. Nubank is up a little bit, 1.86%. Path up 0.34%. It hit 1220 yesterday. Now it's down to 1184. Meet Kevin sold his biddy. So he bought this like Bitcoin short ETF. He sold that yesterday. So that was like a one-day trade for him. Google at 177, GoDaddy 137.93. Lyft is down, Uber is down, KKR is down. KKR just got into the S&P 500. They're down. AMD 162, that's up. ARK is up a little bit, 45.54. Makes sense because Tesla is the largest holding. If Tesla's going up, ARK should go up. Chipotle's up a little bit. TSM 173, that's up a little bit. It's kind of like a flattish market. And it makes sense. I mean, the market's had a really good run this week already. I know it's only Thursday, but the market's done well. The S&P went from 533 to 542. So you can't expect that much more momentum given how well they've done. But market's doing okay. Broadcom right here up 13%, 1696. And Tesla 186. So Tesla, some red candles. People are using the pump to sell their stock. Definitely some people are selling right now and they're getting out of it. I'm sure plenty of people bought at 170 and they used it as a swing trade. Market cap approaching 600 billion for Tesla, 14.2 million shares in volume, but we're not seeing the sort of surge back into the 190s and then potentially into the 200s right now in Tesla. Palantir 24. There you go. Nice reversal. It was just at 2380, 2409 on Palantir, 1.33%, which is great for Palantir, seeing that go up there. So we got Palantir right here at 24. Not bad at all. Celsius cannot catch a break. That is correct. Celsius is just not catching a break. And again, look, at the end of the day, it's based on what I read from Jonah, and I default to him because this guy knows Celsius better than me. The growth is slowing down, and the premium you're paying, which has always been a premium, you cannot keep paying that premium if the growth ends up slowing down. It's just not. You can't really. It doesn't make any sense. So S&P 500 542, Tesla 186, but Celsius definitely getting hit. PayPal also getting hit. Amazon at 185. Amazon is one of the Mag 7 outside of Tesla that really hasn't had the best year, quite frankly. Max 7, you can see Nvidia's up, Tesla's up, Google's down, Meta's down. Meta, by the way, slowly went from 400 to 500. Absolutely incredible. Meta looks like they're going to crush the next quarter based on what's happening in the advertising space. And the stock has reflected that the increase in CapEx is not that big of a deal. Apple at 215, Microsoft at 440. Amazon really has struggled to break out of that all-time high. Amazon is the most expensive on a PE basis because their operating margins are the lowest out of all these companies at only 10%. But that operating margin goes up, that PE, and that growth goes up. PE will start to slow down. Amazon 185. I think it peaked at 191 a couple weeks ago, but now it's stuck there. Where's Snowflake? Yeah, let's look at Snowflake. Where's Snowflake? Snowflake, wow, 128, back down below 130 at 1.5%. Snowflake still getting a little bit of a hit. I'm keeping my eyes on SMCI for a breakout. It's been range bound. SMCI. The only problem I have with SMCI as a breakout play is that the historical price, the historical trajectory of this price is it's done very well, right? It's up 8x over the past 18 months, and year to date, I think it's up 100-something%. So it's just tough to try to squeeze more juice out of it, knowing that it's a hardware business and knowing that the margins aren't phenomenal, right? And so that's the only issue I have looking for a breakout on SMCI because the other thing that kind of invalidates the breakout thesis to me to an extent is NVIDIA has broken out. I mean, NVIDIA is up 40% in the past 3 weeks, and SMCI has not broken out. SMCI has gone down. So market's kind of diverging NVIDIA into its own class, and all the NVIDIA proxies are kind of just not necessarily following it because they're not NVIDIA. They don't have that type of growth. MicroStrategy. Yeah, let's look at that one. So again, if you're just joining, MicroStrategy got $500 million of fresh money they raised. They're down 2% right now to buy more Bitcoin. So they will be buying the Bitcoin dip. And that'll be good for Bitcoin. Amazon right here, 185, Alibaba 76. Steve came on the show yesterday. He said he's buying more Alibaba. He acknowledges the China risk is very real, but the undervaluation on Alibaba is almost disrespectful. I mean, it is beyond disrespectful. However, it's in China. And it's really tough to invest in China. So Alibaba right here up a little bit on the day. NVIDIA just 128 is incredible, dude. NVIDIA is incredible. And it says, hey, Amit, any idea why FOMC was so hawkish yesterday? I didn't think they were hawkish at all, quite frankly. I thought the Fed, I thought Jay Powell just kept saying what he's always been saying about being data driven. Now, if you're talking about the 1 rate cut versus 3 rate cut expectations, I don't think that's hawkish. I think that's just them reacting to the data. Inflation has slowed, but it's not slowed significantly. They thought it would slow significantly, which is why they said 3 rate cuts at the beginning of the year. If it's slowing, but not as much, remember, for the first 3 months of the year, CPI, PPI was going up. There's only the past 2 months we finally saw the reversal. That's why they probably said, hey, we have to do 1 rate cut. I still think there's going to be 2 because at the end of the day, given the PPI data that came out this morning, we are seeing CPI and PPI come down. We're seeing inflation come down. Yesterday, we had the lowest month-over-month core CPI since 2020. So as soon as shelter comes down, this thing is going to collapse. And once it collapses, the Fed is going to have to front run it by cutting rates. If anything, they're going to have to cut rates before it collapses because that's when you know that the economy is going to take a little bit of a slowdown. And so I think we'll get our rate cuts. And the market did go up yesterday when the FOMC happened, right? The SPY didn't burst out, but it was still green. So I don't think it was the most hawkish. PPI data update real quick on PPI. It came in at month over month or year over year 2.2 versus 2.5, which is good. And then month over month negative 0.2 versus 0.1, which was really good, right? So it came in good on the monthly and the yearly for CPI. Real quick, let me show you guys one options play I made yesterday. I put this out on Twitter. I did this later after the market open. So I wrote a lot of stuff. I'll put this in the chat if you want to read it, but this is the picture. I closed out some cash secured puts up 90% on Robinhood. So I sold these when Robinhood was $18 in May 15th. I sold cash secured puts for $21.50. So I sold puts that were in the money and were aggressively above the current price for my strike. Current price was 18. My strike was 21.5. So it's about a 20% delta between the two. And the idea was, hey, I can get a 16% premium. I got 1,700 on top of 10,250 in collateral. Most cash secured puts return only 2 to 3%. So 16% is 8 times more than what you usually get. But the reason you get that premium is because you're taking more risk. You're saying, hey, I will buy Robinhood shares way above the current price in a month if it's not at that current price. And so that ended up working out because Robinhood is now above $23. So I closed them out yesterday, up 90%. The one thing I learned about this, and it was a realization I had, is that when I really start selling cash secured puts and wheeling more aggressively, hopefully at the beginning of next year, and I'll take you guys all on that journey every single day, is that you really got to do it on a stock you know about. Because even the strike price I picked, which was 21.5, and the date, June 28, it was all contingent upon the fact that I thought that the May metrics would come out before June 28th, around June 11th to June 15th. And as a result, the stock would have momentum if the metrics were good to be able to get to that 21.5 strike. If I didn't know that basic thing that Robinhood releases monthly metrics and it comes out on like the second Friday of the month, I wouldn't have been able to choose the right strike price, the right expiration on the strike. So I'm starting to realize, Palantir right here at 24/7, if you are a wheeler and you understand your company, you can make so many strategic decisions, even if it's risky, because it was risky to say, I will buy these stocks at 21.5 because if the stock stayed at 18, I would be underwater by $3, right? But if you know something about the company, then you can make more educated decisions, and that can help you generate a better premium as well. Palantir right here, 24/07. Where's Tesla? There you go. Tesla 189. All right. So we got a green candle on Tesla. Now we got to see, can we get Tesla to 190? 190. That's what we got to see if we can get Tesla here to 190. Broadcom is now up. AVGO Broadcom. There you go. Wow. Up 16% on the day on Broadcom. That's incredible. 1731, dude. Wow. 1731. So Broadcom and Tesla now getting momentum. S&P 500 as well. trying to get to 543. QQQ is probably up. QQQE up 478, close to all-time highs on the QQQ on the NASDAQ. NVIDIA now trying to get to 130. Snowflake still down 1.39%. Snowflake was up yesterday, so it got a bounce on CPI, but now it's down. NVIDIA's up, SMCI is up, Palantir 24.12. Palantir trying to break out that $24 range. Robinhood 23.57 right now. GameStop 26.69. Okay, so update on GameStop. So apparently the open interest on GameStop is down. So open interest is the amount of contracts open. On that $20 call that Roaring Kitty has 120,000 contracts, the open interest dropped from 170,000 to 111,000, which is definitely lower than the 120,000 calls he had if the only open interest is 111,000. So 50,000 worth of contracts were sold yesterday, which means Roaring Kitty had to sell. There's no way he didn't sell, because if he didn't sell, you would have at least 120,000 open, but that's not the case. So let's actually pull that up right now. And that actually is why the stock, I think, fell 15% yesterday after hours. So the $20 call, yeah, look at that, 111,000. It was 170,000 yesterday. The implied volatility is 191% on that. So Roaring Kitty probably sold for like $7 or $8 yesterday. He bought them at $5. He made some money, and now we're going to see what he ends up doing with that money as well over the coming days. We do have the expiration next week, and so it's going to be interesting to see what ends up happening. Tesla 189, trying to get to 190. MicroStrategy is down 2%. NVIDIA is 129. Broadcom here at 1712. SMCI at 17 or 795. Shopify, look at Shopify, 65.46. This thing was 54 2 weeks ago. If you got the Shopify dip, congrats. I mean, that's a hell of a dip you got. So Shopify doing well. Dougie says, I was looking in the dark pool and it seems like he is selling his $20 calls and buying $50 calls for July 19th. Okay, so it's interesting you bring this up. Because I was looking at not the $50 call, but I was looking at another call. And I don't know if you guys know this, but for some reason, GameStop has $125 strikes open for next week. And look at this thing, dude. There are 45,000 contracts open for the $125 call. Yes, I said that right. 125, which is a 500% increase from the current price right now for next week, June 21st. 45,000 contracts are betting GameStop will be up 500% in a week. I mean, I just could not believe that. I literally could not believe my eyes when I saw that. So, and the volume on that yesterday was 26,000. So maybe the GameStop bulls are saying, actually, we think this sucker is about to run at a different level and we're loading up for, I mean, dude, if you buy a call option when a stock is $25 for $125, 1 week out, you will make millions because the odds of that happening are nothing. I mean, like it's almost nothing. So if the stock actually gets anywhere near 125, those call options are going to be worth a lot. And now you will need exit liquidity. So a lot of people will have to jump into the game with you, but still that would be an incredible return. Tesla right here, 187. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But the fact that people are buying those calls are just incredible. But he sold out of 80% of his $20 calls. Yeah, he might have ended up selling a decent amount of those calls, and we'll find out soon once he puts out the update. If he puts out the update on his position. Chris says, started to buy Tesla 180 in March, down into 150, and we'll buy more at mid 140s and holding for 90 to 100 before earnings. If I miss it, then looking for the next stock to buy at a huge discount. I don't know if we get 90 to 100 on Tesla, dude. That's 90 to 100 is going to be a little tough. I could see it going back to 160 if macro turns and the next quarter really is bad and Elon can't get people excited. But I think momentum's on Tesla's side. I think now FSD is in a couple months in terms of the robotaxi event. Elon's got paid. Market's excited. The narrative is potentially switching in terms of Tesla not just being a boring EV company, but being one of the most technological, unique companies of all time. You've got the biggest technologist of all time at the helm with Elon. And yeah, the Q2 numbers are probably going to suck, but if Elon can keep talking his book about what FSD is going to be like, and you've got Cathie pumping the crap out of the potential for FSD, given her valuation model, I think a run to 220 is just not insane, dude. I mean, I really just don't think it's insane, just based on the hype. Now, maybe it's a sell the news on the robotaxi event, but I don't know if we get back down to that $100 level. The number for 7 is like crack for SoFi. It's Dude, I don't. SoFi is it's obviously manipulated. Wow, it's below 7. Oh my god, it's below 7. Goodness gracious. Well, it is what it is. Again, the fireside chat with Chris Point was good yesterday. It was not bad, but SoFi has got to get a lot more momentum to get the narrative to change a bit more about what they're doing. Okay, let's hear from Steve Eisman. This is the guy that predicted The Big Short back in 2008. By the way, put in the movie The Big Short. I've watched it like 2 times now, and I thought it was a phenomenal movie. But he's on CNBC today. He has some of his thoughts about what's going on with the economy. Let's get his thoughts and see what he has to say, and then we will keep going from there.
Says that he is still bullish on the infrastructure trade and thinks there's one big hidden AI play. Joining us right now is Steve Eisman. He is senior portfolio manager at Neuberger Berman. And Steve, you're not just bullish about the infrastructure play, you're bullish about the markets writ large at this point, I think.
That's true. I am.
So what do you see that you love, or I guess it's the absence of anything you don't love?
Well, what I would say is that in bad times, people focus on credit quality and balance sheets, and on good times, they focus on stories. And we're in story time. And there are 2 extremely dominant stories in the markets today, and that's AI and infrastructure. And that's what's driving the economy. And, all the economists who have said that because the Fed's raised rates 500 basis points was going to cause a recession have been wrong. And we're just powering through. And I think the only conclusion you can reach is that the U.S. economy is more dynamic than it's ever been in its history. So what's not to be lucky about or happy about?
That explains the momentum. We keep setting new records every day, it seems like.
Yes, what I would say is, like I had a theory a few months ago that the hidden AI play was Apple. Mm-hmm. And that seems to become consensus like in the last week. Yeah. So
how did you know that before? Because there were so many questions about Apple and what it was doing. I mean, it's suddenly become a lot clearer that they're going to be.
Well, look, I'm no tech genius, but the only thing that I know is that if AI is going to broaden out beyond just the cloud, people are going to use it on their phone, and so that means Apple, and it means that my phone that I bought a year ago is probably not going to be adequate. It's going to be obsolete. Yeah. So you're going to have the biggest refresh. So look, the next stage in the whole tech story is going to be people are going to buy new phones, they're going to buy new laptops, and that's going to have a tremendous trickle down into the rest of the tech sector.
So right now I have the 15
Me
Pro.
too.
I have the 15 Pro.
Right.
You're good to go, my friend. You actually don't need to upgrade this phone. If you have phones prior to this phone, you have to upgrade.
Yes.
And so the question is, what kind of upgrade cycle you think we're really on? Is this a multi-year upgrade cycle? Is it a finite one? Meaning, is it 2 or 3 years?
I have no idea. It's impossible to know at this point.
The economics are going to come as a result of the upgrade cycle. It is less clear to me that they're going to come necessarily from services revenue.
Look, we could say whatever we want at this point because it's impossible to know. I mean, I think it's going to be both. I think people are going to upgrade. I'll certainly get a new iPad. My iPad's a little low.
Right.
I'll get a new laptop because the last time I bought a laptop was probably 4 years ago. Maybe I'll keep my phone. Maybe I won't. And then there's all the services. I mean, it's impossible to say at this point what service is going to do because there aren't any apps yet that you're going to say you're going to pay for the services. So it's all pie in the sky at this point.
If you think Apple is the secret play, but you think it's
not so secret anymore.
Yeah, not so secret. Are you looking downstream? You say that.
We're starting to do research downstream about everybody else that's going to benefit, and hey, I'm not going to tell you what companies those are because I haven't bought them yet. Yeah. But that's what we're working on right now.
Do you hold on to your Apple position? Do you think that this
definitely hold on to your Apple position? It's too central a figure in the whole story that's going to come.
How do you think about a Microsoft?
Oh, we've owned for years, same story. Central figure, but it's Microsoft is not going to be. I mean, it'll be like Apple in terms of you have to figure out who else is going to benefit from all the stuff that Microsoft is doing, but that has to be a core holding.
And what about Google?
Same.
I
mean, there are 2 groups. There are the groups, there's Microsoft, there's Apple, but then there are the people like Oracle, Google, Meta that have tremendous databases that are going to be used. And then there's going to be all the companies that'll benefit from the broadening out. The big question that I have, and I don't know the answer to this, is there's a thesis out there which I find interesting. I don't know if I completely agree with it yet, that for years, software outperformed hardware. Mm-hmm. And I think there's an argument to be made that if AI is as successful as people think it's going to be, the cost of creating software is going to implode. Right. And so that would imply that the moats that some of these software companies have, not all, but some have around their businesses are not going to be quite as high. And so you can make an argument that the revaluation of hardware is going to continue and that some parts of software will derate. I think it's a kind of an interesting thesis. If it's true, it's a very long-term thesis, so there's plenty of time to figure it out, but it's one of the more interesting things that I've heard in a long time.
Steve, we have President Trump, former President Trump, meeting with the Business Roundtable in Washington, D.C. today. You have come up with this idea that his reelection is
a certainty.
Inevitable at this point. Why is that, and what does that mean for the market?
My thesis is that the protesters on the college campuses are rapidly becoming, unfortunately, the face of the Democratic Party, although that's not 100% true yet. But that what's going to happen is in August at the Democratic Convention, which is in Chicago, ironically, given what happened in 68.
68, right.
They will convene there and they won't be able to help themselves, and they will burn Israeli flags and they will burn American flags, and they'll shout things like death to Israel and death to America or some variation of that. And the whole country's going to watch, and the whole country's going to be appalled. And at that point, the election will be over. It's not going to matter what anybody else says. That'll be done.
So what does that in turn mean for the markets, if that's your thesis?
I don't think it means a thing. I actually don't really think it matters that much for the overall market who's president. It'll matter for certain subsectors. You know, probably some old energy stocks will do better. There'll be other things that might do better. But for the overall economy, I don't think it matters much at all.
All right, so Steve is bullish. Again, this is the guy who predicted the 2008 collapse of the economy. So his opinion, to an extent, you could argue, is important in terms of how he analyzes financial markets. Tesla right here, 189.44. He thinks software is becoming a bit more commoditized. AI is taking over, and he thinks Apple and Microsoft. I didn't know he actually thought Apple was one of the hidden AI plays. He thinks those are going to be the big businesses over the next decade. And again, that means that the market has a tailwind, which is AI. Inflation comes down. You've got a market that has room to run and has some momentum. You've got NVIDIA right here at 128, MicroStrategy at 1544, Snowflake not catching a break. Snowflake down 2.19%. So it was up yesterday. Now it's down. Palantir 2386, Bank of America 39, JP Morgan 191, Bitcoin back below 68,000. Broadcom holding that 14% gain. Tesla right here 188. Tesla's trying to get to 190. I think if it gets past 190, we can get a little bit deeper, but into the 190s. But right now we're at 190 on Tesla, and SMCI at 789, NVIDIA at 128 on the day. All right, not bad. All right, one quick announcement. So we're going to do an announcement and then a giveaway. Okay, we're going to do an announcement and a giveaway. So the Palantir merch store is officially live. It's officially live. I'm putting it in the chat. You guys can check it out right now. Now, this is a soft launch of the merch store. This is Iliano. He's the guy who got me to go to DC, meet Carp, etc. He's kind of leading the effort on this. This is his Twitter. If you guys want to follow him as well, I'll put this in the chat. You can follow him. So he said the merch community will go live at 10 a.m. It's basically 10 a.m. This is the soft launch with 3 hat options. Full store coming soon. Hats are $35. They're selling them at cost. Palantir's not making any money on this, so they're just selling them at cost. And international shipping available for an additional cost. So they're putting a lot of more stuff on the merch store, but for now, they just have these 3 items, and this is what the store looks like. Now, Iliano said I can give away 2 $50 Palantir merch store gift cards, essentially. So I have 2 $50 discount codes, merch gift cards, whatever you want to call them, to give away. So I was thinking this morning, how do I give this stuff away? Because there's 1,300 people here right now. There's no way I can say, hey, I'm thinking of a number from 1 to 10, because everyone's just gonna be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like, it's gonna be really hard. So I came up with this idea. Let me know what you guys think. And then I'm gonna say the idea, and then we'll do the giveaway. My idea is premised on 2 things for the giveaway. Number 1 is based on speed. So whoever types the answer in first wins. That's it. I think that's super fair. Everyone's at their computer right now. If you're driving right now, sorry. But like whoever is at their computer or on their phone, if you type it first, you win. Okay. So that's first. I think that's fair. I think that's objectively fair. Number 2 is I am going to ask a question about something I mentioned on the market open either today or yesterday. That's not just about a stock, but that's about something like a little story or something I said. So the people who are listening, who are really listening, they probably will remember the answers to that question, and then they'll put in the answer, which will stop everyone from typing in multiple answers and multiple numbers, because then people won't, then it'll just be guessing, right? It won't be something that people will be able to say. The answer is carp. So I think that's fair. I think whoever types it in first, and then just give me your name and email, and then I'll send it to Iliano, and you'll get the $50 gift card. And then second is I'll ask a question. Whoever gets the answer immediately, based on what I've talked about, you guys will win. Okay, ready? I think that's fair. I think that's very, very fair. That makes a lot of sense. Cool. All right. So I'm being typist right now. I'm not being racist. I'm being typist. Do you guys know I can type really quick? Like I think I can type closer to 140 words per minute. I'm a really fast typer. I can type really fast. And now that I got the manicure and pedicure, I look really fabulous while I'm typing as well. Okay, here's the first question for the gift card. And then you have to DM me on Twitter. If you don't DM me on Twitter, you don't get it. So that's the only way I can keep up with it. So my Twitter's in the chat right now. You have to DM me on Twitter, your name and your email for you to get the gift card, because if we put it in the chat, it'll be lost. Okay. The question is, how many shares of Tesla does my dad have? How many shares of Tesla does my dad have? How many shares of Tesla? Someone's got to get it. No one's got it. No one's got it yet. Oh, young CEO got it. 33. Young CEO got it. 33. 33. A lot of you guys got it, but you guys, no, Felicia, the 60 is my mom. 60 is my mom. It's not my dad. Well, young CEO got, all right, young CEO, DM me on Twitter, your name and your full name and your email, and you get a $50 gift card to the store. Boom. Okay, there you go. All right, the next question. Last question. Okay, here's a good one. How much money did my sister put into Robinhood yesterday? How much money did my sister put into Robinhood yesterday? Next question. Oh, cause why not got it. 30K. There we go. That was quick, dude. That was that was quick. That was quick. There you go. 30,000. That was quick. All right. So cause why not, and what's his name? And young CEO. You guys got it. You guys got it. Dude, I think this is a really good way to do more giveaways. This actually worked out really nice. Don't you guys think? Because I've been thinking for a while. I'm like, yo, if I want to do a giveaway, how do I do it if there's that many people? Like, I can't just say random.org and you guys pick a number, because it's going to be chaos. So there you go. There you go. Connor says, pretty sure I saw 30,000 first. I'm looking at the chat, at least on my chat. I mean, if your chat's different, I'm sorry. But on my chat, I'm looking at cause why not has 30K. Yeah, literally the comment right before that is oh wait, Connor actually got it? I don't see Connor's comment. Where's Connor's comment? Yeah, Connor, I don't see your comment, bro. I don't see your comment. No, I don't see your comment. 30K. I really don't. If you have a screenshot, let me know. You can send it. But I see. Oh yeah, dude, your 30K is right below. Look, Connor Colton, your 30K is right below. Cause why not? At least on my chat. And that also might be a YouTube bug, because it might be going faster or quicker. But yeah, so you're right below it. The link to the store right here is store.palantir.com. Store.palantir.com. All right, cool. Not bad. Not bad. We got the giveaway. We got it. Your stream was 7 seconds behind. Yeah. Well, don't worry. We're going to do plenty more giveaways in the future. I actually wanted to test the giveaway idea today, and I think it worked out well. So I ask a question about something that I've said before. If you've been listening, then you can just immediately say the comment. And then if you're just fast with typing, then you get it. So we'll do plenty more giveaways, guys. Now, this was a first-time format, and I think it makes a lot of sense. But these are the hats. So they have a space hat, an air hat, and a sea hat. Store.palantir.com. They're going to be putting out a lot of more items over the coming days. And so we'll see a lot more stuff. Now, I told you guys Carp was at an event yesterday. So Iliano, the guy who works with Carp, this is what Carp looks like. Look at that. He was at the Eisenhower Awards. I've never seen Carp in a tux, much less a bow tie. But there you go. There you go. You guys are saying Connor got 33 first? Hold on. Let me check in my comments. Let me make sure. Connor got 33 first. Let me check real quick. Let me make sure. Am I wrong on that? Did Connor get 33 first? Again, I typed it in as soon as I saw the answer. Let's see. Did he get 33? Not Real Baby Pluto got 33. No, that was before. Who did I say? I said Young CEO. No, it was Young CEO. He got 33 first. Again, oh wait, no. Did Connor get it? Oh, Connor did get it. Oh crap, Connor did get 33 first. Connor, you're right. You're right. Okay, Connor, you DM me as well. I'm just gonna tell Ileana to give me another one. I'm gonna do 3 instead of 2. So you DM me as well. So Young CEO, Connor, and then Cause Why Not. You guys all win. Yo, shout out to the chat that had Connor's back, bro. Shout out to the chat. Connor, your 33 slipped in so quick. Dude, you were so quick. I missed it. That's how quick you were. Wow. That's how quick you were. All right, Connor, make sure you DM me on Twitter as well. Make sure you DM me. The chat had your back, bro. Shout out to you. Yeah, we'll get you. I'll tell Iana to just give me 3 more instead of 2. Okay, so this is Carp, right? So he's at this award, and I was talking to Ileana last night, and it was a really decent speech. And the video is going to come out probably in the next coming weeks. But it was a pretty good speech, him accepting that award. And we usually don't see Carp do speeches. We usually see him do like panels, right? But this time as a speech, I think it's going to be a whole different vibe. So it'll be fun to see what that looks like when it comes out. All right, cool. Dexter says, admit I got 33 first. No, you guys can't just say you got 33 first now. Okay, but this is a good giveaway. This is a good giveaway idea. So I'm going to be doing a lot more giveaways like this. Because the one thing that's hesitated me from doing giveaways is just like I didn't know how to, because it's a live stream and it's like really hard to do it. Like on regular YouTube videos, people will be like, oh, just comment below, and then they'll like randomly select a comment. But on the live stream, you can't do that. Like it doesn't work that way. So this, I think, is a way better way, because I talk about my personal life and stories all the time, right? And so those personal life and stories, if you end up listening, then boom, it can result in a basically I'm forcing you guys to listen to me even more, because I need your attention and I need people to listen to me. It was so funny the other day, dude. I was listening back to the stream, and I made that GoDaddy joke, and I said when I was in the Ubers in California, I had no one to make the joke for. Like I was literally in the Uber, and I'm coming up with all these jokes, and there's no audience to make the jokes for because I wasn't doing the stream. And I was just like, damn, this is hot fire, but no one's here to accept it. It just goes to show you being alone in life kind of sucks if you don't have an audience or like friends or family to share it with. And I was like, man, I really wish 1,400 people were here to laugh at this joke, because I knew they would laugh. But no one was there. And I didn't want to test it on the Uber driver, because the Uber driver probably didn't care about my joke. But and if they would laugh, they would be forced to laugh, right? Because they know they're getting paid. It's an Uber, so they're like in an awkward situation. They just start laughing. But you guys aren't forced to laugh. You guys can choose to laugh or not. You have a choice. And I know you guys choose to laugh because the joke is always good. Only youngsters will win if speed is the question. No, typing should not be discriminatory based on age. Typing should be quick. It's just a question of how quick your Wi-Fi is, I guess, to put in the comment. Say Massachusetts. Yo, you guys made fun of me yesterday with Steve, because the reason I was saying Massachusetts yesterday, and yes, it's really hard for me to say that word, is because Roaring Kitty, I think this will be really interesting. He has 300 million in his E-Trade, right? Massachusetts has a very high, not only state tax, but capital gains tax, which means he would have had to made at least 600 million over the course of 3 years to be left with 300 million after paying 50% in taxes. At least, let's call it 500 to 600 million. It's rumored that he made 50 million in 2021, which means he would have had to 6x that 50 million, or sorry, 12x that 50 million into 600 million just to pay the taxes, which is 300 million, to be able to be left with 300 million to invest in his current GameStop play. I'm really curious, how the hell did this guy turn 50 million into 600 million in the state of Massachusetts? I'm very confused how the hell that happened, because, I mean, did he dump it all in at Meta at the lows? Did he go call options on NVIDIA? Because then it's believable if he did, because NVIDIA's up like 8x. Like what did he do to turn 50 million into 600? Because you have to pay the taxes. There's no way he got away living in Massachusetts not paying the 300 million in taxes. And if he had to pay the taxes, then that means that he ultimately had to make more money. Casino put it all on red. You're not even allowed to do that. When I was in Vegas, you're only allowed to put like 5,000 on red or black. Or maybe there's different casinos where they let you put an unlimited amount, but like, or maybe he just kept putting 5,000 on red. Maybe that's what happened. But I'm curious, dude, how the hell did it? If that's the case, this guy's the best retail trader of all time. He has to be 500 to 600 or 50 to 600 in less than 3 years. I don't know. Either someone helped him get the money or he actually turned it into something bigger. Did he get paid for the movie Dumb Money? No one got paid from my understanding. No one got paid for that. I don't think it's illegal to like make a caricature. Is that how you say it? No, we got to fucking use Google for this. Caricature? Dude, why is saying words so difficult for me? Caricature. Yeah, that's how you say it, right? Where's the audio thing on Google? How to say. But you don't have to pay people for doing that.
Caricature.
Okay, so they made a caricature of him, and they probably didn't have to pay him to do that. Same thing for Vlad and Robinhood, etc. He probably lives in Puerto Rico. No capital. Well, he still says he's in Massachusetts. I think maybe so for Puerto Rico, the rule for no taxes, you have to live there at least 6 months of the year. So maybe he comes to Massachusetts for like 6 months, and then the other 6 months he's in Puerto Rico, and that's how he gets away with it. I mean, here's the thing that Steve was talking to me about. Let's just say this, guys. Roaring Kitty, Keith Gill, and what's his name? And Ryan Cohen walk into a bar. Let's say in Massachusetts or in Puerto Rico. Does anyone in America, realistically, let's say, does 99% of America know Ryan Cohen and Keith Gill in a bar getting a drink together? I think the answer is no. So if Ryan Cohen and Keith Gill walked into a bar, I mean, even me, I probably wouldn't have even noticed that those are two guys that walked into a bar together and they're getting a drink. Are you telling me they, over the past 3 years, didn't decide to meet up at a bar, get a drink, basically have full anonymity? Because, I mean, no one really knows there's not Steve Jobs, there's not Bill Gates, right? There's just two random guys. And you're not telling me over a drink they came up with a little plan on how to pump games? I mean, you could argue that's what happened, dude. You could absolutely argue that's what happened. If I saw Keith Gill today, I don't think I would fully recognize him. Same thing with Ryan Cohen. Ryan Cohen may be a little bit more, but that's only in the past couple of weeks because I've been looking at his like pictures. I watched an interview with him the other day as well. He's actually a very smart guy, dude. I think he kind of has a game plan around this, but it's been 3 years. I don't really know what he's doing here. So if they met up together, then maybe they decided to get this together. They decided to concoct this whole plan and no one even noticed because no one can tell. Tesla right here, 190 on Tesla. 40 cents away from 191 on good old Tesla. Bitcoin 67,000. Robinhood 2338. Robinhood was hitting 2440 or 2420 for a lot of time yesterday. Same thing that happened when we hit 2350. Then we fell back down to the 22s. I think what's happening is the same thing. We hit 2420. Now we're falling back to the 23s. And we'll eventually make our next leg up back into the 24s. Tesla here at 190. Broadcom 14% up on the day. QQQ 477. S&P 542. Tesla now, let's see if it can break through that 190 level and just keep going. What do we have right here? Oh, Roth account. You guys are thinking it's a Roth account? Yeah, maybe he did it in his Roth account. That's true. Maybe. Yeah, maybe that's the way he got away from taxes. But still, even then, dude, he still has to at least make his money 6 times. He has to 6x his money, which is really tough, you know? So maybe he did it on the Roth. Sure, maybe he did it on the Roth. It's still a lot. It's really hard to do what he did. And if he did, then shout out to him, dude. If he did it, he's the best trader of all time. He's not meeting up with suits with that haircut. He looks homeless. Well, actually, that's what makes him more approachable if he's meeting up with suits looking homeless, right? Maybe it's more casual or something. Tesla's trying to get to 191. It's really trying. There's a ton of buy pressure coming in. Volume is 38 million right now in Tesla. Let's see if it can get there. I'm up 57% on Amazon. I'm cool with that, not selling. Dude, my dad's up 80% on Amazon, and he's not selling either. He's just like, I'm never selling Amazon. Because I was like, dude, I mean, like, it's only 9 shares. I was like, you won. You made like $900. Like, let's just put that into Tesla. Let's DCA into something. Like, I mean, realistically, Amazon will still go up, but it'll take time. You know, it's not going to 300 tomorrow. So, but he's going to keep holding it. So maybe we just buy my dad more shares of Amazon because he really likes Amazon for some reason. He let me sell Google over Amazon. I think we got Google at like 175 or something. We sold that. And we put that into Palantir. But he really wants to keep Amazon for some reason. He likes that one. Yeah, he has 9 shares of Amazon right now. Up 86%. He's up $780 on Amazon. His average is $100 on Amazon. Shout out to Palantir for just dumping. Why did Palantir dump? Palantir. Oh my, a little nasty dump right there. Dude, again, I'm going to keep saying this over and over again, but Palantir's valuation, it needs to grow into it. And I think Q2, they will make significant progress into growing into it. If they don't, the suckers go into 20 again or below 20. And that's a buy the freaking dip because it's a short-term price action movement based on a quarter that might not be what analysts thought it would be. And that's going to be okay. I do not think we're getting below 20 on Palantir. I don't think the market's going to be generous enough for that, especially with every analyst still having the $28, $25, $30 price targets that they have. So I think this range is fine, but it is going to be range bound. And again, it's something you got to remind people because we forget. We get kind of greedy as shareholders. We were at $15 January 8th. $15. We're at 23. If we were at 23 by the end of the year and it was a slow move up to 23, we would have been so happy. Oh, we're up 35% for the year. That's a great year. That beat the S&P. But we're up 35% in like 3 months, right? And so it's hard to justify it when it stays boring now, when it just stays stuck. But it still is a fantastic move at the end of the day, which is important. So that's what we got. Any word on Robinhood credit card rollouts? The CFO said it's going to be coming out in the coming months. Again, the reason they're slow on that, guys, just like they were slow on the 1% match, is because they're trying to be very data dependent on how the cohorts are reacting to the card. So it will be rolling out, but it's not going to roll out super quick, which is okay to me because I'd rather them take their time, dude. I'd rather them not like be super quick and then it ends up being messed up. So it's going to take some time. I don't have my card yet either. Someone was saying, remember I told you guys how much credit card debt I'm in? I'm in like $3,000 of credit card debt based on the California trip. Someone was saying I should sell the gold card Vlad gave me and get $2,000 to pay off that debt. And I was like, dude, I'm never selling that card, but $2,000 is $2,000, dude. It's not really bad. So Robinhood, they tweeted yesterday, Robinhood Gold customers can get a 1% more on every eligible deposit. Again, my sister put in $30K yesterday. She got $300. And so, yes, you have to keep it in Robinhood for 2 years, but if you're investing the money, that shouldn't matter. Yes, it's paid over 24 months, but again, it's free money, shouldn't matter. And then Robinhood did 11.2 billion in net deposits last quarter. They're at 8.5 billion so far this quarter. They only need 2.7 billion in the month of June to overtake the 11.2 last quarter or to match that. If they do 3.6, which is what they're doing on average, they're going to be doing about 11.5 billion in revenue, or 11.6 billion in deposits, which is going to be a big beat on deposits. If they get anywhere close to 12 billion, I mean, it's 12 billion in a quarter. Those are like real bank numbers. This is like not a brokerage number at all. So absolutely incredible. I think that 1% match is definitely going to get people more excited going into the next quarter. Okay, guys, should we buy anything? Are there any stocks we should buy? Should we buy? We've got some buying power. Is there any stocks that we should buy? Should we buy TSLL? Should we buy just for the hell of it? TSLL. This thing is at 845 right now. It's up 11% on the day. I feel like if we're buying it, we might be buying a fucking top unless Tesla moons. What are the calls worth on TSLL? Let's see. Let's see what the calls are at on TSLL. Let's see. How much is TSLL worth? By the way, did you guys see Meet Kevin's stream last night? Because I caught a little bit of it. And he was drunk. He was drunk, dude. Like he was, because the Elon vote passed. He went live. He was sipping on a drink. He was drunkety drunk. And then his son came into the stream and he was being drunk with his son. It was kind of funny, but it was also kind of like, this is why I don't drink, dude, because like sometimes when you get drunk, and I got drunk in California. I mean, I drank a little bit. So like I know what it feels like to get drunk. I've obviously drank in college, but I don't drink. I mean, I drank in California for the first time in months, dude. I really don't drink. So it's one of those things where it's like, I don't think I could ever go drunk live on the stream. It was Tesla tequila. Yeah, it was Tesla tequila. I don't think I could ever go live on a stream drunk because I would just probably sound like an idiot. Now, some of you guys think I already sound like an idiot, but I sound like a sophisticated idiot. If I was drunk, I would actually just sound like an idiot. So it would be tough. Okay, TSLL. This is a leverage play on Tesla. Let's go into January 2026. If we bought a leap, oh, these are expensive. These are kind of expensive. Okay, so the stock right now is at 842. Let's say we're looking at $20. That's $2.70. Okay, what if we do a spread and we sell 22 on top of it? Our total cost would be, the bid and the ask is disgusting. Look at that. The bid and the ask is disgusting. Negative 260 versus 340. We might as well, when the bid and the ask is like that, we might as well just buy the call. Forget that. We might as well just buy the call. Should we buy a leap on TSLL? Should we say TSLL gets to $20, which means Tesla would have to get to probably like 250-ish by 2026, 275-ish roundabout. Kelly says can confirm. Yeah, Kelly has seen me drunk. Kelly has definitely seen me drunk. I don't sound that dumb though. I get more philosophical. Dude, tequila, soda, lime. I don't understand why people drink this stuff. Like it's literally just water, like sparkling water with tequila. It's not an exciting drink at all. I'd rather drink white wine than tequila with soda water. Like that's not interesting. Oh, yes. Leslie's right about this. So I tweeted, all right, so we'll go back to this in a second. I tweeted something about Ross Gerber yesterday. He deleted his tweet, dude. So Ross Gerber, so I called out Ross Gerber yesterday because, I mean, dude, I had to. I just can't believe this guy is acting like this. So he tweeted this in April. He said, I will be voting no on everything, blah, 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 blah. And so, as you can see, it's definitely my phone because I have the low battery. And so I quote tweeted that yesterday, and I said, I hope one day I have the confidence of someone who built their career off Tesla, voted yes in 2018, knowing how difficult it would be for Elon to meet the benchmarks, made 10x on the stock, and has the audacity to vote no. Apparently, Ross deleted this tweet today. People can't find the same tweet. And ticker symbol U just tagged me in that. He said Ross Gerber deleted this Tesla tweet, but the internet never forgets. It's really sad too. This is narcissism. At least stand by your freaking words, dude. At least stand by your words. If you're going to be a hypocrite that makes all this money off Elon and then has the audacity to say that man doesn't deserve his money in America, if you're going to say that, at least stand by your words. This is the most hypocritical, narcissistic thing ever for him to delete. It's cowardly. That's the word. It's cowardly for him to delete that tweet because he can't even stand up for what he believes in because he doesn't believe in this shit. He's just saying it for attention. Which is sad because he made a lot of money off Tesla. But yeah, apparently he deleted that tweet. Okay, what are we buying, guys? What are we buying? I feel like we should buy something today. We should buy something. TSLL, I don't know, dude. I don't know if that's that exciting to buy. Should we buy SoFi? should we fucking buy SoFi? What could we buy, dude? SoFi now $6.93. My wife hates your tequila comments. Yeah, apparently, I think girls like the tequila and lime soda, dude. It's disgusting to me. Like it's like water with tequila that's a little sparkly. Like who thinks that drink is like, oh my god, it's the best drink ever? It's like I don't get that drink. I don't get it, dude. It's not exciting. Bitfarms is up today, right? BTIF. Bitfarms, yeah, that's up 10%. Okay, so that's up. SoFi's down, Nvidia 128, Snowflake 127. Should we buy Snowflake, guys? Should we buy some Snowflake? GameStop? Oh boy. I would buy GameStop, but I just don't get what they're going to do with the business, dude. I just don't get it. That's why it's hard to buy it. Buy Bitcoin. Dude, Bitcoin is fake. It's not real. And it doesn't know how to go beyond that. I was saying Bitcoin and 70,000 is like the friend zone. Okay. I think Bitcoin tries to flirt with 70,000 and 70,000 consistently friend zones Bitcoin. And I don't know what Bitcoin has to do to get out of the friend zone, but at some point in every man's life, they're talking with a girl and that girl has objectively friend zoned them and they know it. But the hunt, the journey, the meaning of life is to get the hell out of the friend zone. And it's more meaningful when you're first figuring this out, when you don't have any guidance on how the hell to get out of the friend zone, because the friend zone is tough. Like you can't be friends forever, especially if you like the girl, right? You really got to try. You got to do what you got to do. You got to figure out how to maneuver a way to get this girl to actually see you as more than a friend. And Bitcoin right now is not figuring this out. Every time it gets to 70K, every time it tries to make the move, every time maybe it reaches for it to hold their hand, it's like, oh, nope, I can't do that because I'm still a friend. And at some point, you have to realize that you got to be more than a friend. Tom Collins and Moscow Mules. No, I've never had those drinks before. Tom Collins. What the hell is a Tom Collins? Tom Collins and Moscow Mules. No, that's not. That's a 1940s drink. Tom Collins. Let me look that up. Tom Collins. It's a Tom Collins is a Collins cocktail made from gin, lemon juice, sugar, and carbonated water. Yeah, see, the fact that it has carbonated water, that to me makes it uninteresting, guys. Moscow Mule is from Mother Russia. A cocktail made with vodka, ginger, beer, and lime juice, garnished with a slice or wedge of lime and sprig of mint. Okay, see, this one's probably good because it's ginger beer. Ginger beer I like, but if it's just soda water, I think it's disgusting. I think that's disgusting. Anyway, someone said Amit is the Shirley Temple type of girl. All right, so I was at the wedding last week, and dude, I kept going up to the open bar, and I was like, "Can I get a Shirley Temple?" Which is just ginger ale with some like strawberry coloring in it. That's all it is, but it tastes good, dude, and it looks like you're drinking alcohol, so you kind of look cool because you're drinking this like fruity drink. It's just ginger ale though. But yeah, I like Shirley Temples. I like them. Okay, so Bitcoin again getting friend zoned by this $70,000 level. It just can't break through 67,598. We'll see if Bitcoin can get there, but I don't want to buy Bitcoin. Let's see what else we can buy. What is on the watch list? We got to do something that's down. Snowflake's down. Robinhood's down a little bit today, but we have enough Robinhood. Celsius, $60. PayPal. Dell, 133. Should we just buy a share of Nvidia, dude? Should we just say fuck it? Should we just buy one share of Nvidia? Should we just do that? CRM or Snowflake? Is CRM down today? Wow, CRM's down another 1%. Oh boy, it was recovering a little bit. Now it's down. Buy some Snow to track it a bit. I mean, if I want to do that, I could just buy $1 of that. I'm talking about like buying a real like share. Soundhound, where is Soundhound? We haven't looked at that in so long. That's down at 463. I think that's still up a lot for the year, but it was at $10 at one point. Celsius call. No, dude, I don't know if that's cash covered put on Nvidia. That would take a lot of collateral. I don't know, dude. Honestly, the only thing I feel comfortable buying is Nvidia because, like, if it goes down, like, just buy more, right? Like, Nvidia is the only. That's why I think Nvidia keeps getting money because it's like if it goes down, everyone's like, okay, we'll just buy more. Like, it's the easiest buy the dip I think of the market in at least 2024. Oracle down a little bit today as well. Oracle at 140. That's up, I think, 15% for the week or 12% for the week. And so it's easy. Should we buy Meet Kevin's PP? Should we buy his ETF? SoFi's at 669. No way. SoFi's not at 669. You're lying. Oh my, yeah, dude. I think you meant to say 696 or something. 694. Dude, if that was at 669, that would be bad. Tesla's down. Tesla. Yeah, Tesla's getting sold off right there. All right, so we hit 191. Now we got a nasty red candle right there. 184. If Tesla goes back to where it was last week, dude, that'd be sad. But I mean, like, you also can't blame it. I mean, the shareholder vote is not necessarily changing, the dynamics on Tesla or the business. But Kelly says you should pay off your credit card. Dude, oh my God, it's so much debt. So much debt. I pay off my credit card on the 26th of every month because my statement is a couple days after that. So that's when I pay it off. But yeah, someone was so funny in the chat yesterday on the market close. I was like, I was setting up the Steve the conversation for Apple, and I was like, Steve, I have a MacBook, I have an iPad, I bought my sister a MacBook, I bought some Beats headphones from Dr. Dre. What do you think about Apple? And then someone in the chat is like, Amit, aren't you unemployed? Why are you buying all this shit? I was like, that's a good point. You're right. I am unemployed. Why am I buying all this shit? No, I have the money to buy it, dude. It's not that I don't have the money to buy it. It's just, for me, I'm starting to notice, like, I actually like paying off things in monthly installments because, like, I'm not saying the greatest investor in the world, but I kind of know what I'm doing a little bit with some of the money if I have it. And so why would I pay $2,500 on this MacBook when I can pay, $200 a month and I could keep that extra $2,000 and I could invest it? So I've never missed a credit card payment in my life because I've never like been in debt for the credit card. But if I could run up the card and not have to worry about paying cash all at once, it's not the worst idea to me. Not the worst idea, Willie. Pay your credit card with another credit card and buy yourself time. There's a lot of people that do this credit card hacking stuff, dude. There's a lot of people that maneuver and find ways to do this. I was talking to a guy actually at the Robinhood event in March when we went to the gold event, and he was telling me he got like a $20,000 credit card limit that he was able to use to put into his brokerage, but he maneuvered it by paying it off in some other weird way. And I was like, I never knew you could get real brokerage cash by taking out a credit card loan. And I think the first 18 months was 0% interest, which is why it's kind of like a margin loan, but like on margin, you actually have to pay money, right? So there's a lot of ways to do that stuff. I would never do it because I don't want to worry about the stress of paying that back. But there are ways to do it. So yeah, that's what we got. I do that with my taxes. Yeah, some people do that with their taxes as well. JP, thank you for the $1.99 super chat. Appreciate it. Thank you for that. Markets red. Did markets just go red? S&P. Wow, markets just went red. Oh boy, markets just went red. Palantir 2342. MicroStrategy 1518. Snowflake 127. Apple's green. Should we buy Apple, guys? Should we bite the bullet? Buy Apple, dude. It's so I get the Apple bull case. I really do. I understand it. I get the whole they're the gateway to LLMs. I get it. But they added 340 billion in 2 days, bro. I just kind of feel like it's a little. Does anyone else feel like that? It kind of feels like it's a bit too much too quick, even though I understand the thesis. Then again, maybe the market is just saying, "Hey, Apple's Apple, and we're not gonna miss Apple." We should buy Rocket Labs, to be honest. That's what we should do. We should buy Rocket. So Matt could get off my back as well, because he's always he's got to upset me that I don't have any Rocket Lab yet. We should buy some Rocket Lab. How much is this thing? Even though I don't really care about space. Rocket Labs, $4.58. Year to date, it's down 15%. It's $4.58. It's kind of cheap, dude. It's kind of fucking cheap. Should we buy 25 shares? All right, fuck it. We're doing 25 shares of Rocket Labs. Here we go. 25 shares. We're doing it of the labs of rockets at $4.58. I have no idea if this is a good price or not. We're just throwing it out there. Here we go. No one can say I don't believe in SpaceX anymore because I believe in the overall mission. We are now shareholders of Rocket Lab. Dude, if I tweet this, everyone's going to go crazy. They're like, oh, Mitt, what's your thesis? Dude, my thesis is I'm bored. My thesis is I'm bored and I feel like buying something. That's my thesis. Well, I mean, are the covered calls premiums? Like, could we wheel this thing? Usually I don't do this, but I'm just like, you know what? Fuck it. It's $100. It's not that big of a deal. And also I have been looking at Rocket Lab. I don't really have a big thesis, but I have been looking at it for a while. Dude, look at the covered call premium, dude. It's like non-existent. The premiums are so bad. A $6 call, I get 0 premium for selling that for July 5th. Well, folks, we're in the Rocket Lab world. I'm a Rocket Lab shareholder. Should I tweet the screenshot live? I'm just going to tweet the screenshot and see what happens. I'm just going to tweet the screenshot. I think people are going to be like, what's going on? Why'd you do it? Okay, we're just going to tweet the screenshot. Ready? We're just we'll see live what the reaction is. Okay, here we go. Rocket Lab order complete. Dude, it's going to be so funny because I don't give a shit about space. I don't care about this mission. Peter Beck, the CEO, he's cool, but I just don't care that much. Honestly, it was below $5. That's all right, here we go. Tweet. Boom. Let's see what people say. Let's see what the Rocket Lab community says on Twitter. If it goes up, it's because of you guys. You guys mentioned in the chat, so that's why. Let's see. Matt's going to go crazy. Matt's going to be like, finally, you got it. I've always made fun of Matt. I was like, for buying, but not made fun of him, but I was just like, he tries to get me to care about Rocket Labs and I don't care at all. Like, dude, going to Mars, I'll be way dead before that happens. I don't care. All right. Like, unfortunately, I'm going to be dead. I'm going to be gone. What I do care about is ontological structures of data, because I think I'll make some money off that shit. Whereas Rocket Lab going to Mars, I don't know if I'm going to be around for that. Now, I know they have another business and they do satellites and they do debris and they do all this different shit. And like, they help the government. They won some contract yesterday. I get it. But I just don't care that much. Wow. Look at that green candle. folks. I think I just pumped the stock. There you go. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so Rocket Labs at 4.6, Salesforce at 233, NVIDIA 128, Tesla 185. Tesla's definitely selling off, almost at 191. S&P now is flat on the day. And now I have to care about Rocket Labs. Now I have to care about the candles on Rocket Labs. I have to care about if this thing goes up or down. They do debris. I mean, they clear up debris. See, I don't even know how to say it. They do something with debris. It's for satellites. Yeah, it's for satellites. Explain ontological. Ontology is the state of being. And in the context of Palantir, it's a kinetic and semantic representation of your data. I know I'm using a lot of buzzwords, but the point is, I am really convinced after AIPCon that Palantir's moat and their secret is ontology, and the rest of the SaaS sector doesn't understand that. It's not a data lakehouse like some of the other companies are touting is the most important thing. And so I mean, literally, did I tell you guys when I was talking to Carp? Did I tell you guys? Like when I was talking to Carp, I don't know if I told you guys this when I was recapping AIPCon. So let me actually tell you this story. Hold on, let me get the charger real quick, and then let me tell you the story. Let me get the charger because the computer's running out. Okay, so basically, will you stream the GameStop meeting in 30 minutes? No, I'm not going to stream the GameStop meeting. Are they talking? They're actually talking. I mean, we'll see what they say, but I'm probably not going to stream that one. Okay, so basically, me and Arnie, we're sitting, right? We're basically sitting. We're not sitting. We're just talking to this random dude, Ryan Fox, who's the Palantir military guy, who I'm getting a lot more friendly with. He's like an awesome guy. He started as an audio engineer at Palantir. Like he was like fixing cables and shit. And now he's a software developer who's doing really big shit in the USG business, right? So we're just sitting, and then Carp shows up out of nowhere. And it's like, I think I told you guys, like a wild unicorn, right? You just see this Carp guy, his hair is crazy. He shows up, and he just starts talking to us. And I actually told him the reason I got into Palantir was because the philosophical connotation of ontology got me super excited. So I told him that story. And so we were just talking, and then he walks away because he has to go do something. Then out of nowhere, 5 minutes later, he just comes right back. And he comes back, and he's like talking about when he used to invest in companies. He used to like look for what the culture was like at the company when he was like a pseudo VC, right? When his grandfather died and gave him some money. And he would try to figure out, what the culture was like at the company. And to find the culture of the company, he would have to talk to the employees. And when he talked to the employees, if they said they liked the CEO, he would be more inclined to invest in the company. So we start talking, and then we start talking about the number of employees at Palantir. And I think Arnie asks a question about why, there's only a couple thousand employees. And he says, the culture the culture we're building is so crucial. And he says, I think we can become one of the biggest companies in the world with very few employees, right? With thousands of employees, not hundreds of thousands of employees. And then I look him dead in the face, and I was like, I remember exactly what I said. I was like, why are you so confident about that? That was the question I asked. And then he looks at me and he's like, because LLMs are going to operationalize the rise of ontologies. I think he said that word for word, but he essentially just says LLMs and ontologies. LLMs makes ontologies useful, or ontologies make LLM useful. Ontologies make LLMs useful, but LLMs have created the marketing to get people excited about what it means to have a single source of foundational data in your enterprise that operates as the semantic representation to allow you to make decisions. And LLMs are a computational form of infrastructure that supercharge the ontologies actually working. And he says that to me and Arnie. And you could tell he really believes it, dude. Like, he's not joking. Look, Rocket Labs is down because I bought it, down 1.26%. But he really believes it. He really believes that LLMs are going to make ontologies the biggest thing in the world. And so, yeah, that's why I like ontologies over space, because it seems like, I mean, when you got a founder who's that just like in tune with where he thinks his product is going to go and where the roadmap becomes and what the world doesn't know, then that's exciting. And I think, again, in life, whenever you're doing something special, you have to know something about the world that the world doesn't agree with. And you have to be right? It's this Peter Thiel contrarian and right. And I really like this philosophy. Like, you have to know something that the rest of the world either doesn't know, doesn't care about, or they don't believe in. And investing, it's very similar, right? You have to believe in a stock before the rest of the world believes in it. And you have to be right. If you're wrong, you lose money. If you're right and you're alone, then everyone catches up to you once the world figures out that you're right. This is why Stanley Druckenmiller ended up selling his NVIDIA at $900, because he felt like the secret they discovered about NVIDIA right now 128, the world had ended up discovering, but they discovered it at $100. At $900, the world figured it out. And so I think that's what's going to end up happening with Palantir over the long term. And so we'll see. We'll see what happens. Okay, let's see what the Twitter reaction is to this Rocket Lab thing. Let's see what the Twitter reaction is. Let's see what people say. Dude, I had no intention to like be part of the Rocket Lab community now. Wow. Okay, people are reacting. Here we go. What are people saying? You have Kelly says, you are such a troll. Toro Marcus says, I wait for 3. Richard says, dude, really? We've been saying to buy some forever. Cyberprince says, welcome home. Think Real says, what is your thesis? Think Real, you're in the chat, aren't you? Brian Berg says, yeah, baby, yeah. Abu says, what's your thesis? I don't have a thesis. I have no thesis. Smart. What's your thesis? Oh, you guys are in the chat asking what's your thesis. You guys are from the chat. You guys are being funny. What's your thesis? Weird. I just bought some today as well. Thesis. Why? Okay, maybe it's either people from the chat trolling saying what's your thesis, or it's literally people being like, what's the thesis? I don't know, dude. I just opened up a can of worms. Yo, you know what would be so funny, dude? You know what would be so funny? What would be so funny is if I sold all the shares, if I sold all 25, and then I tweeted that as the second screenshot. Dude, that would actually be the funniest thing on planet Earth. Am I up on the shares? I'm down 0.05 cent. Basically, I would be selling it at 458. I bought it at 459. Tell me that would not be the most hilarious thing on the planet if I sold the shares and I tweeted that as a second screenshot. Dude, I want to do it, but I'm going to piss off too many people. Because stocks are emotional. Once you say you like a stock and people like the stock, they get super emotional if you talk bad about it. You might be canceled. I would literally be canceled, bro. People would cancel me. It's so funny, though. Now I'm up 50 cents. I could literally make a profit. And that would be the funniest thing ever. But I'm not going to do it. People are going to get mad. People are going to get so mad. What do I respond to this thesis question, though? Should I just say space is my thesis? What's your thesis? What should I respond? It's got to be a good one-word thing. That's my thesis. I like the stock. Yeah, that's what I should say that. Interstellar. No, that's the word. Interstellar. Oh, that's it. Dude, that's the thesis, baby. Interstellar. That's one of my favorite movies of all time, to be honest. I probably should. I mean, if there was any reason to care about space, it's fucking Interstellar. There you go. Accelerate. Yeah, accelerate. Rockets go up. Rockets go moon. I can't wait till Matt Money sees this, dude. It's gonna be so funny. Okay, Tesla 183, Nvidia 128, Bitcoin 67,000, Palantir 2341, Snowflake 128, SMCI. Wow, up 6%. You should have told me to buy some fucking SMCI. We saw SMCI at 750 today. We could have literally bought some or 790, and you guys told me to buy this fucking dilutive, unprofitable company trying to go to Mars that's never gonna beat SpaceX. That's what we bought today. Over the server rack that allows NVIDIA to create GPUs. That's what you guys made me pick. Unbelievable. All right. Anyway, no, I'm just kidding. Let's end it off there. Where's Robinhood? Robinhood at 2347, down 0.96% on the day. Palantir 2341, and then you got the S&P down a little bit, 541.30 on the day. All right, let's do word of the day. And then we're out. Let's do word of the day. And then we're out. Okay, the word of the day is actually a good word of the day because it's what I've been for the past 30 minutes. Facetious. All right, let me say that again before you guys make fun of me. It sounds like face-tious, right? Okay, if I was really bad at pronunciation, I would say face-tious, and all of you would not respect me. And I could have said face-tious. I could have said it as a troll, but I'm not like that bad, okay? Facetious. There you go. Facetious. But see, it has the S and the H. That's why, like, Massachusetts, facetious. People think I'm making it up when I say Massachusetts wrong. The S and the H, I'm telling you guys, my lips don't work when I do that. I told you guys the story. When I was in kindergarten, Miss Wingo, my kindergarten teacher, she made me stand up in front of class and we were learning basic words. And she said, pronounce the word she. And I couldn't say it right with the S and the H. And she made fun of me. Now, I don't hold that against her. I'm not traumatized by that, but I remember that like it was yesterday, that the whole class was laughing because I couldn't say the S and the H. I promise I remember that like it was yesterday. And ever since then, the S and the H, I don't know what it is about my lips. They don't work right when it comes to the S and the H. Facetious.
Facetious.
Facetious. See the shish, that's where I should separate the S and the H a little bit, and I don't separate them. It just goes together, and that's what messes it up. Not meant to be taken seriously or literally. Okay, so that Rocket Lab purchase was facetious. I hate this word, dude. I can't fucking say this, but the Rocket Lab buy was definitely facetious. Okay, let me see how to say Massachusetts. Let's see how they say it.
Massachusetts.
So you see the S-U-H-T, it's like suts. I do shoots. That's the problem. So let's hear her again.
Massachusetts.
Massachusetts. That was better. That was actually better. But naturally I go Massachusetts. You see, like that's the problem. At the end, the S and the H just turned into gibberish. But if I wanted to sound it out, Massachusetts.
Massachusetts.
Yeah, it's like a S-I-T almost versus S-U-H-T, but I go Massachusetts. And it's natural. I'm not trying to do that. It's just natural. That's the problem. All right. Anyway, that's it for me. Thank you all for being here. I'll update you guys on Rocket Lab over the coming weeks as we see what people have to say on Twitter. If you're not following on Twitter, you can follow on Twitter and see what people have to say. Here's the link in the chat if you want to check it out. John says, I'm not traumatized by that, but I remember it like it was yesterday. Dude, I don't remember a ton of kindergarten, but I remember that day. She got me, said, go up in front of class. We were saying these words. I said it wrong. I didn't have my front teeth. I remember the shit. And she was laughing. And she was laughing. She was not like making fun of me. She was just like laughing about it as a teacher. Like she was like, dude, if I was a teacher and I had kindergarten kids and one of them couldn't say the S and H, I'd probably be laughing too, like, you know, but I remember that day. It's etched in my memory. And now I can't say the S and the H right. Now, instead of kindergartners, it's 917 people who make me buy Rocket Lab over SMCI who get to hear me say what I say. Amit say physician. You see physician. You see the in the middle, the physician, like it's a real thing with this S and the H. It's a real thing. Nate says this guy debated people. See, in debate, I could be in debate mode, but like when it comes to saying these words of the days, it's just not the best. All right, that's it for me. God forbid Massachusetts comes up next time he moderates a Palantir event. Dude, that Palantir event, dude, it went pretty good for the I was actually going to live react to one part of it. So I want to live react to the first 2 minutes of it. Every time I'm about to go, I just keep you guys for longer. It's like I'm sorry for that, but I get all these ideas. Let me play that real quick. There was one part of it that I didn't like, and I just want to show you the part that I was hypercritical about myself. And this is what I have to fix next time. But I'll show you guys this part, and they'll be gone. But the majority of it went not too bad. Okay, so here it goes. Hello, everybody watching from home. We are here today at the first ever backstage pass at Palantir's AIPCon. My name is Amit. You've probably seen some of my videos online about the company. I've been covering the company for about 3 years now. So Palantir invited me to get an exclusive behind-the-scenes look on AIPCon and see how they do what they do. So good so far. Now, for the previous 3 AIP conferences, usually when we had a coffee break in person, Palantir's online stream kind of just shut down. And in true Palantir spirit, they wanted to innovate, push the envelope further. So now for the 4th edition of AIPCon, I get the honor and privilege of moderating the panel for the next 25 minutes to actually figure out transformational use cases of AIP. So good so far. Another thing real quick, does push the envelope further, is that a thing? Is that a thing? Because I pulled that out of my ass. I feel like I heard that and it was in my subconscious and I said, push the envelope further. I don't know if there's an envelope that ever gets pushed further. I don't know if that's a saying, but I said that. And I hope to God that's like a real thing. Okay. So it's still going good. And now this is where it gets a little rough. And I have 3 lovely Palantir employees with me to help. I'm here with... This part is actually going to go good. The part after that is the bad part. Chad Walquist, a former Palantir customer and now a lead AIP architect. Yep. Jack Dobson, forward deployed engineer who leads Palantir's go-to-market strategy and boot camps. And Natalie Schneider, who leads keynote creation at Palantir's AIPCon and is a keynote community content curator. Jack, Chad, Nat, thanks for being here with me.
Well, thank you for joining us.
Yes.
Right.
So the amount of times I practiced Chad Walquist, former Palantir customer, now lead AIP architect, Jack Dobson, forward deployed engineer, leads bootcamp, blah, blah, blah. Like that I dude, it was at least 100 times to make sure I didn't fuck up that part. So that part went good as well.
Couple of things before we get started. There are about 250 people here at AIPCon. 4 keynotes just happened. We have 4 more.
Right there. That was the mistake. So you heard that right here?
Right. So a couple of things before we get started. There are about 250 people here at AIPCon.
250 people here at AIPCon, no problem. Then right here.
PCon. 4 keynotes.
What is What is Okay, I was supposed to say we just had 4 keynote presentations. We have 4 more coming up, but I said and I was like, what? Like as soon as I said in the moment, dude, I don't know if you guys. I was flustered. I was so upset. I was like, damn it, because it was going. We were 1 minute and 15 seconds in. I was like, damn, I made 0 mistakes so far. Like literally 0 mistakes. And then this stupid and I was like, fuck, that was the one mistake I made right here.
In here with me.
Well, thank you for joining us.
Yeah. Right. So a couple of things before we get started. There are about 250 people here at AIPCon. 4 keynotes just happened. We have 4 more coming up, and we have 70 other presentations throughout the entirety of the day.
That's another one throughout the entire day. It should have been throughout the entirety of the day. Smooth, simple. Through the entire of the day. So those 2 things that happened from 1 minute 15 to 120, those 5 seconds, I cannot tell you how much it pissed me off, dude. I mean, like, it was annoying. When I listened back to it, I was like, damn it, dude. Like, those 5 seconds made me so mad about it.
4 keynotes just happened. We have 4 more coming up, and we have 70 other presentations throughout the entirety of the day. Each customer.
Yeah, that was another because I made that mistake right there. So instead of smoothly transitioning into each customer has their own personalized keynote, there was a third. So from 115 to 122, those were the 7 seconds of like not the best, but everything else I think was okay.
Coming up, and we have 70 other presentations throughout the entirety of the day. Each customer gets their own personalized agenda. That personalized agenda influences how they experience AIPCon. So every customer gets to network with different customers, learning different use cases about AIP. Now,
so that was all good. But then the dude, that made me mad. I know you guys are saying I'm being hard on myself. I get it, but like these are the things I take really seriously. I don't want to mess those up. And like, I practiced this whole 2 minutes for a long time going into this thing. I just didn't want to mess up those 2 things. Now, I was a little nervous going into this, but I also wasn't nervous. It was kind of like the Vlad interview. Like the day of the Vlad interview, people were asking, like, were you nervous? And honestly, I got to New York. I was sitting at Penn Station. There was such a calm, like zen. I was a mid zen. I was feeling so zen. I was like, this interview is going to be fine. Like, I'm just going to ask him questions and we're going to do what we have to do. Then when you get in the actual interview and you're sitting there, you're just trying to make sure you're executing very well. And so there's a little bit of nervousness. But when I got on the stage, I wasn't really nervous. But before, while we were listening to Carp talk, I was like, oh man, in like 30 minutes, I'm about to go on stage. It's a little nerve-wracking. But in reality, I wasn't super nervous. But those little types of idiosyncratic things that happened, that annoyed me because I was so close for it to be perfect. Like literally it was going to be perfect. And then it was a brain fart in that moment. I don't know where the came out of, but because also that's a part that part was very simple. 4 keynotes today, 4 keynotes later. And I was like, we have 4 keynotes. And I was like, why did I do that? Right? Like, I don't think it was the nerves. Like because the first minute and 15 seconds was perfect. There was no issue. I think it was just like a random thing that happened. And so is human. Yes, it's definitely more human. I agree. It definitely made it seem more human, but there's a bright line between sounding human and then like just messing up. Right. And I'd rather be on the line of like not messing up versus even if it sounds a little bit more robotic versus human, because in general, I'm more conversational. I just didn't want to make those little mistakes in between because it just makes it better versus making it more human-like. Is better than AI. You sound like the Figure AI robot. Oh my God. Where's GameStop? Is it pumping? GameStop's up 9%. Not bad for GameStop. But yeah, that was the part that annoyed me, dude. Because like, yes, it makes you seem more human-like, but it also is just like, it's such a tiny mistake that if you could avoid it, it would have been nice to see. Broadcom, are they still up? Broadcom, yeah, 13% up. They're up on the day. I'll invest in AI. Regardless, it was good. It was fun. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And yeah, as long as they don't make me say Massachusetts or physician or facetious, then I think we'll be good to go. I think people are still freaking out over this Rocket Lab screenshot, dude. Oh boy. I've got to justify this stupid fucking thesis now. I've got to justify it. Yeah, people are excited for it. Wait for $3. What's your thesis? Welcome home. What home? I don't even know what home we're in. And now other people are buying. Oh my gosh. To the moon. I gotta be rocket ship to the moon, guys. I'm in. Rocket Lab. I'm in. All right. Thank you guys for being here. Appreciate it. We'll see you live back on the market close 3:45 p.m. and keep going from there. And then we'll keep going. What did Carp think about your presentation? He loved it. The funny thing was at the end, when we say, all right, back to AIPCon, the camera was supposed to immediately switch to AIPCon. But for 10 seconds, they just kept it on our faces. And so Carp was telling Chad, we were just staring at you guys in the office laughing at that. Because that was kind of hilarious because we're like, back to AIPCon. And then we're all just like trying to be statues and not move because we're trying to wait for the signal where we can finally move. So he got a kick out of that. And that was fun. All right, guys. I'll see you at 3:45. Thanks for being here. We'll be back for the market close. Bye, everyone.